Ready when you are.
Good evening and welcome to the April 17, 2025 meeting of the Town of Southampton Zoning Board of Appeals. This meeting is being held live and also via video conferencing in accordance with the Town Board's enactment of Local Law Number 14 of the year 2022. Our next meeting and those following will also be held in person here at Town Hall and will continue to allow for remote participation. So please keep checking the town's website for updates and any new information. If you wish to view tonight's live meeting only and not participate, please do not join the Zoom meeting and instead go to the town's website for viewing access. With that, I'd ask you to join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. For those of you with us here tonight, in case of an emergency evacuation, please exit through the rear doors of this room to one of the staircases across the hall and continue downstairs out through the main entrance. Do not attempt to use the elevators during an emergency evacuation. In case of a medical emergency, the automated external defibrillator and first aid kit are both located in the hallway on this floor opposite the elevator. Restrooms are located across the hall from this room. We'll begin this meeting with public hearings. We have applicants and members of the public here with us live and also standing by via Zoom webinar, which is being moderated by CTV. CTV will mute the speakers on Zoom until it's their time to give testimony before the board. Please be patient. If you find you're having difficulties accessing the hearing, visit the town clerk's meeting portal and click on the instructions link. Also, for those of you in this boardroom, please silence your cell phones and refrain from speaking to one another as it interferes with the recording of our proceedings. Tonight, board member Helen Burgess is participating via Zoom. A reminder that applicants, agents, and members of the public speaking other than attorneys will be sworn in, state their address for the record, and will offer their testimony as it relates to the application before the board. In order to consider properly every application before us tonight, individuals commenting on a particular application will have a time limit of 3 minutes. Also, before handing in any submissions to the board tonight, please make sure the documents identify the ZBA application name and tax map number. The application name should also be written on your certified receipts. Unless otherwise stated at the end of an individual application hearing, all applications will remain open for written comments for all purposes until a set date. Those written comments can be addressed to members of the board and sent via email, mail, and or dropped off at Town Hall to the board secretary, Candace Cowell, in the building department. At this time, I'd like a motion to approve the minutes of our April 3rd, 2025 meeting.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. John, would you take us through the agenda, please?
Yes, turning to number 4 on the agenda, application of Gary and Barbara Siegler, 271 Dune Road, Bridgehampton, Suffolk County Tax Map number 900-179-2-26.2. Applicant requests relief from Town Code Section 138-7A and B, coastal erosion management permit required, compliance with provisions, effect on zoning regulations, and Town Code Section 138-9, structural hazard areas to legalize a deck constructed on a dune within the coastal erosion hazard area and any other relief necessary.
Board has jurisdiction.
I move to adjourn this, the hearing on this application to August 7th.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Turning to number 7 on the agenda, application of 911 Flanders Road LLC, 9 and 11 Flanders Road, Riverside, Suffolk County Tax Map number 900-138-2-31 and 32. I move to adjourn and re-advertise this application, the hearing on this application for July 17.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Number 8 on the agenda, the application of Gary Fitterman, 645 Dune Road, West Hampton, Suffolk County Tax Map number 900-391-2-25.1. I move to adjourn the hearing on this application to May 15th.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Number 13 on the agenda, East Quogue 535 Realty Incorporated, 535 Montauk Highway, East Quogue, Suffolk County Tax Map Number 900-341-1-52. This application has been withdrawn. Turning to the decision calendar, the decision on the application of Vasilos Sarlanis Trust and Janet Sarlanis Trust, 308 East Montauk Highway, Hampton Bays, Suffolk County Tax Map Number 900-230-3-23. Move to adjourn the decision on this application to May 1st.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Decision in the application of Kevin Chisholm, 918 North Sea Road, North Sea, Suffolk County Tax Map Number 900-112-2-6. I move to adjourn the decision on this application to May 1st.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Turning to number 1 on the agenda, application of Stephen and Karen Gwenjoyan. Was that correct? Oh, my God. 13 Felix Avenue, Remsenburg, Suffolk County Tax Map Number 900-380-2-100. Applicant requests relief from Town Code Section 330-6, General Regulations, that references Section 330-11, Residence Districts Table of Dimensional Regulations, for an accessory side yard setback from 20 feet to 17.1 feet to maintain a pool in its current location on a non-conforming lot and any other relief necessary.
What has jurisdiction?
Hello.
Are either of you attorneys?
No,
Okay, then
We're
we
not.
swear you in. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
yes.
Okay, please state separately your name and address.
Stephen Ganjoyan, 13 Felix Avenue, Remsenburg, New York.
Karen Genjoyan, 13 Felix Avenue, Remsenburg.
Okay, so, Stephen, let's hear from you on this application, please.
So we're obviously looking for 2.9 inches, 2 feet 9.9. That's how it is. 2 feet 9 inches, right?
Yeah,
All right, go ahead. Yeah, explain it, because people in the audience may not be familiar with it, so.
It was built 10 years ago. Our contractor installed it from the fence that was there, which was on our property. And it ended up being the line, well, I guess it was, the fence wasn't exactly on our line.
yeah.
So
And it was
it was
done,
on the other line, right?
right.
I said that wrong. So,
And it was done according to a certified and stamped survey. So we since have had a new survey done. And that's what it came up with.
so the fence was actually not done.
It was on the neighbor's property.
Right. So then it was built, right,
You were not aware of the situation until the new survey was done?
yes.
Right, exactly.
Okay, have you heard from your neighbor?
Yes, we did.
Okay.
The one that's affecting, yes, she had no problem.
It came over.
They came over the house.
Okay. Well, Julie, you're on the lead on this.
Yeah, I mean, it's a difficult situation. The pool is built. It looks to me like there's vegetation on both sides.
Vegetation.
Yes.
Yeah, it's a
Yes,
lot of
there is.
vegetation.
Is it possible to move the fence to your property?
No. I mean,
Even one of the
taking trees down.
inspectors.
I mean, could you put a new fence on your property in front of the trees? The reason why I ask is that, again, this, it's permanent forever. And it's almost like you're encroaching upon their property and you're taking ownership of that land. And that I would be opposed to. I would really very much like to see that there's a fence put on your property to protect the pool so that it's also, the fence is on somebody else's property and you have a responsibility to protect the safety of the pool.
Well, we already had a few inspectors out to the house.
Yeah, no,
No
I
one
understand.
pointed
Yeah,
that
no,
out.
I get it.
So it was like, the trees have gotten a lot bigger.
The trees,
just wanna make
I don't know
sure.
how we could,
I'm not sure that we have jurisdiction over the fence. I mean, our
Well,
jurisdiction is solely to the 17.1 feet to the lot line. And also, a fence that encroaches on somebody else's property would be subject to a lot line agreement later on if you were to eventually sell the house. And at closing, that's what title would require, or removal of the fence, something that you would agree to with your
with your name.
neighbor. So I'm not sure that we
Just wanna
would
make
even
sure,
be
you know,
addressing
same
that
as-
here.
But my problem is that as a property owner, you are required to fence the pool. And right now, you do not have a fence on your property that fences your pool. Do you understand what I'm saying?
I see your point.
Yeah, I didn't think about that.
Yeah, I mean, it's like,
Whose fence is it? Is it your fence or their fence?
It's our fence, I think.
I thought it was our fence.
Well, you can just condition it on a pool, a code compliant pool enclosure. You know, I mean, whether or not it's
That's what
gonna
I'm
be this
getting
one or
at.
something else, yeah.
Well, just to complete the thought with what you're raising,
Right.
if the neighbor thinks it's his fence and he takes the fence down, you
yeah,
have a pool
you have
with
no
no
fence
fence.
on your
Technically,
protected.
no, but, you know, no one pointed that out until 2 years ago.
We understand that, and I don't think we're objecting
To
to
that statement.
yeah,
But
we're,
I mean, you don't have a certificate of compliance for the pool, right? So you're not gonna get one
It
unless
just
there's
said
a.
pool fence.
And it's gonna say on the stamp, it has to be a code compliant.
Fence, yes.
I think our only issue is the
Wonderful
lot,
solution.
the setback.
Yes, yes.
yes.
But to
Because you're gonna have to
Susan's
get a
point, we
fence to
should
get a
condition,
CO.
they should be aware that they need a.
Yeah, you're going to have an enclosure, a fence enclosure on your property for your fence.
So I
And,
still need this variance though.
yes, and I don't think you're hearing an objection to the variance per se, that it's, it was like it was an error. But I think what Katie is saying is that if we grant the variance, we're gonna grant it with the condition that you've gotta have a code compliant fence around your pool. Because it's somebody else's fence on their property, is, as Kevin says, they could take it down and, and you have no recourse.
Are we sure that it's their fence?
It doesn't matter, it's on their
If
property.
it's on their property, it's their
So you might say I quote own it, but it's on their property.
Right.
So, I mean, I have no problem to the setback, but I do have a problem that has to be fenced on your property.
That's gonna be,
Town's gonna make you do it anyway.
certificate of compliance, they're gonna make you do it
Go
anyway.
to get it written off, you're
Why
gonna need it.
didn't any inspectors say this in the last 2 years? You know how many inspectors have been
Well,
out
but they
there?
may, I mean, we don't know, we're speculating, but it may be that they in fact thought that that fence was on your property.
Well, they may have relied upon a survey that you provided, which was incorrect. I mean, so who knows? We don't know where the blame lands, but this is what we've got today, and let's correct it and get
Well,
everything
but we're
in
not
order.
conditioning it on a code compliant on your property. We're conditioning it on the issuance of a certificate of completion or,
It can be conditioned upon the, compliance with the town code
With
for
the town
a pool
code.
closure.
Yes,
Right.
I would feel
leave it
better
just at
about
that, not delineating where the fence is or
No,
what
that's right.
fence
That's not
exists.
us.
It's up to the building department to decide that, not us.
Correct, right,
Which we're just telling you to anticipate.
well, and they also passed it a few
But
months ago.
you don't have a certificate of compliance for it, so it didn't
Right.
pass.
And-
Yeah.
I mean,
Well,
it
he
is at the
checked off,
strapping
he
spool.
checked off on it.
Yeah, but, all right, but you're asking for a variance, and this is what the
That's all we-
condition of the
we need the
variance
variance.
will be. Okay, Katie, you've got that.
Yep, I got it.
Kevin?
I'm fine otherwise.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think that
No issue with the system.
I don't think the setback is the issue. Is there well, wait, don't go. Let's see if there's anybody in the audience. Is there anyone in the audience who wishes to be heard on 15 Felix Avenue?
13.
I'm sorry, 13 Felix Avenue. Is there anybody on Zoom who wishes to be heard on this application?
It's the hand up.
Okay, all right, so, Julie, this is,
There's a hand up.
oh, I'm
on
sorry, I
Zoom.
didn't hear that.
No one does, sorry. No one's on.
Oh,
No one's on. Okay,
Okay,
Julie, this
so
is
yes, we are going to close the public hearing with a decision slated for 5:15. And Katie, do we have to make mention then as part of this decision that the approval of the variance for the setback issue is contingent upon the construction or of the applicant obtaining a certificate of compliance for the pool, or how
No,
is
no,
that
but I
gonna work?
will add that they need to have a code compliant,
Enclosure.
Full enclosure.
pool
Got
enclosure,
it.
yeah.
Okay,
They need the variance in order to get the certificate of compliance, but I think they need the fence to have the certificate of compliance.
okay.
On the motion, second?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry, open for written submission on 5:15.
The decision.
I'm saying she said a decision on 5:15.
Oh, sorry, decision on 5:2, written submissions, 5:15.
Second.
Way around.
Yeah.
Other way around.
Other way around.
We're closing the public hearing
Written submissions on file.
with, yes, we're accepting
We're gonna
written
get the variance.
submissions until 5:2, good God.
There you go.
With a decision slated for May 15. Woo.
Ms. Kane?
Aye.
Mr. McDonald?
Aye.
Mr. Redhand?
Aye.
Ms. Burgess?
Aye.
Mr. Mastonia?
Aye.
Mr. Leonard?
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Okay, thank you.
Number 2 on the agenda, application of Colleen Donahue, 15 Devon Place, North Sea, Suffolk County Tax Map Number 900-42-3-35. Applicant requests a determination that the subject parcel, Suffolk County Tax Map Number 900-4042-3-35, is held in single and separate ownership from all adjacent parcels and thus entitled to relief pursuant to Section 330-115D.
The board has jurisdiction.
For the applicant, David Gilmartin Jr., Greenberg, Troy, 2317 Montauk Highway Bridge, Hampton. This is a single and separate case, and I know the board has been through many of these, but just for the record, absent a clear intent to merge, contiguous parcels, one of which may be undersized, do not merge. Unless there's a clear intent. Your clear intent, as you have held in many prior decisions, is a singular tax map, a single tax map number, single tax bill, and structures or dwellings that either straddle or are on the other line. I've provided in my application proof of the 7 factors that you consider when you're looking at a single and separate case. The application indicates they have separate tax map numbers. Each parcel is taxed separately. I've provided the bills for that. They both have different addresses. One's 5 Devon Place, the other's 15 Devon Place. The interesting thing is that it's not the Devon Place side that's created the issue. It's easier here. If you look, the blue is 5 Devon Place and the yellow is 15 Devon Place. There's an access off of 15 off of Devon for 15 Devon Place, but the majority of its road frontage is on Edgemere, which is the lot to the west. The other sort of interesting thing about this one, if you're, which I have, is there's only about 30 feet of contiguous property here. So there's only a small area where that's done, and haven't seen anything sort of like that before.
What is the stone driveway there?
That's actually from the lot immediately to the west of 5 Devon, so the front lot, it's this lot, which is,
Yeah.
which it is single and separate from. That's the one, I guess it's easier to show.
Is that being used by the 5 Devon?
No, 5 Devon has an enormous driveway.
It's weird that it's on the survey as a stone driveway.
This is 5 Devon and has its full entrance and access here. There's no other area for it to access. It's this lot that has put its stone driveway. So 5 Devon is here. It's this lot, which it is single and separate from. And it's just a stone area. I have provided an aerial that shows that it's a mostly wooded lot. I don't think either parcel, based on a review of the surveys, enhances the utility of the other. They don't share an access. And based on that documentary evidence which you have within the application, LLC hold the property something separate from 5 Devon Place. 5 Devon is improved and it's conforming, that's why it's only 15 Devon.
And there was no mortgage issue?
No, we
Okay.
looked, yes.
That's another test that we
They
look
were
at.
bought at very different times.
Yep, okay. Whose is this? This is John L. John?
Yeah, I don't have any additional questions. I think the application really does speak for itself.
Katie, there was some question you had at some point?
No, actually, David answered it, and
Okay.
my dates, it didn't become non-conforming until 1972, so some of it, right? Some of the period of common ownership, I saw it.
It became recently. The 5 Devon, we actually represented them in the purchase of 15, and 5 Devon, they gave us a deed, and they had forgot that they had filed a subsequent deed with their estate lawyer. So it's been within the last 5 years that the properties could have merged.
No, I just meant that when it became non-conforming.
I think in 72.
Yeah, 72. So are you planning on separating the ownership? I mean, typically when we have common ownership currently, we say we want ownership separated within a certain amount of time.
Yeah.
So could you do it in like 6 months or?
Sure.
Okay.
Once you decide it.
That's all.
Is that a condition that we would put?
Yep. Yeah,
Okay.
just it saves everybody the hassle of having to come back, because if they don't separate it, even though we know it's single and separate, the town code will give them any reduced relief as long as it's not cleared up.
Okay.
The decision should run with the land.
It does run with the
Any
land, but the town code
clearance.
says that you have to submit a single and separate search that shows there hasn't been any period of common ownership. So typically, the board grants the decision, and then 5 years from now, the applicant would just update the single and separate search from then, because it could be continued in common ownership.
Understood. I agree.
Okay, John, this is yours.
You need
Oh,
to
wait,
ask the
let me
audience.
ask the audience. Anyone in the audience wish to be heard on 15 Devon Place? Anybody on Zoom who wishes to be heard on 15 Devon Place? Okay, now, John, it's yours.
Okay, I move to close the public hearing on this application, set it down for written submissions by May 2nd with a decision on May 15th.
Second.
Mr. Leonard.
Aye.
Mr. Macedonia.
Aye.
Ms. Kane.
Aye.
Mr. Weber.
Aye.
Mr. McDonald.
Aye.
Ms. Burgess. Aye. Chair votes aye. Okay, thank you, David.
Thank you,
Thank you,
David.
David.
Number
Have a
3
happy
on the
Easter.
agenda, the application of Eva Shea Family Trust, 285 Surfside Drive, Bridgehampton, Suffolk County, tax map number 900-117-2-23. Applicant requests relief from the following provisions of the Town Code. Section 138(9)B, structural hazard areas. Section 138-12B1, dune areas, and Section 138-17, nonconforming buildings and structures, all to construct an elevator and 650 square feet of area pilings with grade beams where construction is prohibited on a nonconforming lot and any other relief necessary.
Board has jurisdiction.
Are you an attorney? Are you an attorney?
No, I'm not.
Okay, then, okay, let me swear you in. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Okay, please state your name separately and your address.
My name is Frederick Snell. I'm an architect. My office is in Bridgehampton, New York.
Okay, thank you, Fred.
Shannon McCaffrey, Dewey's Planning, 15 Boylston Lane, Suite 3, East Hampton.
Okay, thank you,
Frederick,
Shannon.
is it Stelle?
Yes, that's correct.
Thank you.
Okay, so who's going to tell us about this application? Okay,
So we're here this evening to discuss 285 Surfside Drive. The property has been owned by the Shea family since 2004. The lot is 1.19 acres in size and fronts along the ocean. The main dwelling is pre-existing, non-conforming, and located seaward of the coastal erosion hazard line. In 2008, the Shays underwent construction of a 2-story addition and raised the house to be first floor FEMA compliance. Since then, the area has seen significant changes to storm and erosion. The foundation of the current house is composed of pilings and grade beams, similar to what's being proposed this evening. For this foundation to be effective, the pilings must be surrounded by sand to have the maximum strength capacities. Storm action has increasingly left these exposed, with the need to add additional sand It is also important to note that the second floor of the dwelling is the primary living space. The kitchen, dining, living, and the Shea's bedroom are all located on this floor. As Mr. Shea continues to grow old, he's experiencing extreme difficulty in traversing the stairs. We are proposing to construct an elevator for Mr. Shea to be able to have accessibility to his home. Construction of the elevator shaft will not cause an undesirable change to the neighborhood. The elevator is a minimal increase in the square footage of the existing dwelling and will provide a functional utility that the homeowner needs. The exterior has been designed to be in keeping with the architectural style of the existing dwelling and will not be seen from the road or beach. There are also no perceived adverse impacts to the environment for this construction. The variance can be considered substantial, but it's in keeping with the existing structure and the minimum needed to allow the owners to be able to access the main living area of their home. In keeping with providing safe means of access to the dwelling, we're requesting to legalize the entry deck. This provides a dedicated level area of access from the parking area to the dwelling. This also helps protect the native plants and dune areas from being walked through. Lastly, the construction of additional pilings and grade beams are proposed to increase the structural integrity of the dwelling. The elevator shaft requires pilings and a grade beam to be built. During the design phase, the existing foundation was evaluated, and it was determined that there was an opportunity to combat the increased storm action we're seeing today by constructing additional pilings and a grade beam, since the foundational work for the elevator would already be needed. The pilings and grade beams will make a grid pattern that will be integrated into the existing foundation. This will not cause an undesirable change in the neighborhood, since it will not be visible and all below grade. The area will also be revegetated with native plantings. There will also be no adverse impact in the neighborhood, as this will provide a more structurally sound home in a dynamic area. These requests are not self-created. Any work proposed to the main dwelling will require for a variance to be requested due to the seaward location of the dwelling in respect to the coastal erosion hazard line. The Sheas love to use their home as much as possible, and these variances will allow for Mr. Shea and his family to continue to safely access their home. Please let me know if you have any questions.
I think we're going to have some questions. Yeah. I'm the lead on this, but I know that, Kevin, you have some stuff you want to talk about.
Yeah.
So
Are
do
you
you
letting me
wanna-
go? Am I going
You
first?
can go
or
first,
you
and then,
Okay.
let me just tell you that I find, I went to the property. The house is like literally on top of the dune. It is very exposed, and it's in a very fragile situation. I'm really, I'd have to be wildly convinced that adding to that structure is not going to be a compromise on the dune. And I didn't see in the materials that we have anything from the
Conservation.
coastal administrator. I didn't see a comment from them, because I have some real concerns about this. I appreciate that he needs an elevator, but I just, it's gonna take a lot to convince me about this application. And the other thing I had a question as to whether there is some way to integrate the elevator into the downstairs area. I know there's a mechanical room, there's a sauna. I mean, is there some way to, without increasing the structure, find an accommodation for the elevator in what exists? I know there's a bedroom or two down there as well, but, so that's my concern, is adding to this structure, which I think is incredibly vulnerable and really right on the top of the crest of the dune. Did you go to see it?
No, I haven't
But it's
been to see
literally,
it,
I
but I
know Kevin's
looked.
seen it. Yeah, oh, Kevin, do you want to?
Sure. So let me also disclose, I have a relationship with Fred Stell that I would say is, we're not friends, but when we see each other, we don't run away. And
Your
and we
acquaintances.
don't necessarily socialize, but I thought it should be disclosed.
Well, I'm glad we clarified
I don't know if that helps you or hurts you, but I felt it needed to be said. So, exactly to, I'm sorry?
He gets faint praise.
Yes. So to the point that the chair just expressed, I would be remiss if I didn't say, in the context of this conversation, have you thought about moving the structure back? And that would ameliorate considering the expense you're gonna go through for the piling work, and it's not easy removing sand, doing the piling work, and then doing the work you have to do to put everything back, is there, and you don't have to answer it today even, but please give serious thought to that aspect, and it makes the elevator conversation a little bit easier and less of a problem entirely. But considering your exposure, I mean, how would you not, right? So it makes the future of the project more consistent with the dune setback ordinance, the Coastal Erosion Hazard Act, and those two sections too. So just it begs the question I'm asking.
Fred, do you want to touch?
Sure.
on that?
I've been involved with a project before the Shays bought the property, and there was a structure there in that location. And that was the basis of the original application in the early 2000s, where that house was rebuilt in that location and expanded. We radically changed the structure. It was a wood-framed house on wood piles. This is basically a concrete and steel house. It was we reinforced the existing house with concrete walls on the ground floor that are perpendicular to the beach, so that, you know, if water has to come crashing through those structural walls, still maintain their integrity. We raised the house that was there to make it FEMA compliant.
Is it presently FEMA compliant as far as you know? Okay.
It was FEMA compliant when we got the original permit, and we raised it higher than was required by FEMA.
Yeah.
And one of the reasons why the main living spaces are on the second floor is that first of all, we had height limitations, and then we realized that, as did most people, that things were changing, and that the likelihood of there being more serious events on the ocean there than had been, discussed or predicted was high. So we strove to exceed both the structural requirements of the building and also the building code requirements of the structure itself. At the time we discussed moving it back, that to move it back would require, at the time now we discussed moving it back, and that would require, in order to move it back to a significant location, would require moving existing structures on the property.
I don't make the recommendation lightly, and I appreciate you taking it serious.
There's only so much room on the property.
Understood.
Right? So that's problematic. The driver actually was not the additional pile reinforcement, but it was the elevator. And the elevator as a piece is a little bit like building a partial revetment or a partial bulkhead. What happens on either side of it is you increase the amount of deterioration on either end of it. So structurally, it's sort of the same situation. Adding reinforcement where the elevator is, where the piles to support the elevator, you want to have the whole house have the same resistance to erosion and same resistance to deflection from wave action. If you've seen, I don't know, Ms. Cohen, if you'd seen it when it was washed out, but the piles underneath the house were exposed by about that much. And the piles work well in bearing because the sand is around them, and the amount of sand around them was more than was needed. But what happens is when you expose them for lateral resistance, when you lose the sand, the lateral resistance goes down. And the thing we want to avoid, I'll be straight, we want to maintain the house where it is, and we're going to try to do everything we can to prevent any kind of collateral damage. And it seemed like this was an opportunity to increase the house's resilience. And certainly adding the elevator adds a bit of resistance, but it also may increase the amount of load on the adjacent sides of the house if there is a big event there. And the last thing we want to do is see that thing, floating out into the street or causing damage to other structures.
I guess maybe I was having a problem because when I was there, they were doing the whole beach reclamation
Yeah.
project and bringing the sand in, and I'm going like,
Yeah.
this is really a problem. This house is right at the crest of the dune, and if you look down the beach, there's maybe one other, like 5 houses down or so, that's in the same position. All the rest of them are back much further. I really was quite, I understand there's a vulnerability there, a big vulnerability, and I just don't know whether I could agree to adding to the structure an already vulnerable structure and adding to it. And I understand the desire for, but I'm trying to come up, is there another way to do it? You've got the house there, it's, you've got your CO, is there a way to put it inside and not create?
So the elevator itself would require separate foundation even if it was inside the house because of the loads imposed on it.
Okay, but it
so-
would be within the confines of what?
Right, so-
I'm not the architect, but I was just thinking, like, is there a way to accommodate that and not add to what I see as a major issue?
It would be architecturally difficult because it's not a very big house.
I'm understanding what he's saying, so.
I understand it, but
I understand load problem and stuff, so what he's saying, it's either you're gonna build that elevator and he's gotta do the grade beams at the same time. You
Right.
really can't do
And-
one without the other.
The effort here is, they're going to great expense to do this, to strengthen it, to make it more resilient. And we think that the original house was designed to be pretty resilient as it is, because as you can see, it's washed out underneath. And one of her staff was in the house during the washout period, which I think was last spring. I think it was a year ago.
Okay.
And he said he didn't feel anything in the house because of the pile foundation that was there. But that's in part because it still is partially surrounded by sand. And who knows what's going to happen in the future.
What is the size of the elevator, if I may ask? I'm not an
It's
architect.
roughly, the shaft is roughly, roughly 7 by 8 feet.
I think it was 58 square feet altogether.
That's 56 square feet, so yes, close to that. It's the minimum size for a wheelchair.
Okay. I was gonna ask, is there a
Yeah.
way to just make
It's
this sort
actually
of a
not an elevator.
one-person
It's
standing up
it's
kind of situation?
It's misconstrued. It's not an elevator, it's a lift.
I see.
And the main difference between an elevator and a lift is that a lift goes more slowly than an elevator.
And this can't be solved by a chair going upstairs? Those movable chairs that
Yeah.
go upstairs?
It's not the same thing as an elevator. It can be solved a lot of ways. It could be solved by having a staff member carrying them up the stairs too, but it's.
But that's a little different from a mechanical solution.
Yeah. The lift is really the simplest solution, and I'll be honest with you, it's the simplest solution architecturally.
Mhm.
Because the house is not very big, as you probably saw.
yes, no, I saw.
And especially when you drive through that neighborhood, it looks like the poor cousin. But so both architecturally and in terms of reinforcing the structural integrity of the building, it's really the best solution.
Anybody else? Candace, or Candace or Katie, are we gonna get something from the?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, we referred it,
Okay, so we really aren't in the position to
Well,
move forward
we
until
have to refer it to, we have to make referrals for the coastal, so refer them to Marty Shea, refer them to Janice Scher.
Yeah.
We submitted, our first step in the project was submitting the coastal erosion permit, in which Teresa Mason directed us to apply for the variance before she could further review
So
it.
she's aware of the project, but yes,
So-
we the ZBA affirmatively does a referral, so typically this board doesn't act until we hear back from it.
Right.
And she may suggest a lot of the things that the board, but sometimes they will say, is there a possible way to retreat? In which Kevin already asked you. But yeah.
I'm not in the habit of building coastal erosion hazard areas or building in vulnerable areas. I'm in the habit of trying to mitigate that stuff.
I'm not personally attacking you on
No, no,
this.
I
mean, I
understand
hope
that,
you
but I just want you to
appreciate that,
understand
and since you're a friend of Kevin's, obviously.
That's
Your
true.
quote, friend. That's right. You couldn't possibly be, that kind of a person, so.
I used to be your employer, didn't I?
All right, well, let's not get into that. We don't have to get to.
That would be a different disclosure.
No, I was
Yeah.
on the board of the Nature Conservancy.
Is there anybody else on the board who wishes to comment on this? All right, is there anyone in the audience who wishes to be heard on 285 Surfside Avenue Drive? Is there anyone on Zoom who wishes to be heard on 285 Surfside Drive?
No one.
Okay, so, Katie, what's the time frame? Do you think?
I don't know what the time frame is, but I think you will want to, I think you're gonna want to wait for those referrals and come back, just so
For
that you
sure.
can address them
Yeah,
on the
yeah.
record. I mean, since you've already mentioned that you've spoken with Teresa, you made that application. So I think it would be, I mean, we'll remind them, oh, we're waiting on referrals, but it might be in your best interest to, just follow up with Teresa and just be like, can I get a referral on this?
And you also mentioned Marty as well.
Marche. Can I'm gonna underscore, seriously, please consider moving this back, for a lot of reasons. I don't have to explain them, you guys know them.
Can I ask you to maybe suggest how we might do that?
That would be your great skill, not mine. The only,
New foundation, a new
Yeah.
pilot.
I don't say-
That part's easy, but there's other structures on the site, and it's a small piece of property.
All right, maybe the other structures have to be modified, I don't know.
And if you want to seriously mitigate the location at that beach, you really should go back almost to the road.
Well, that I understand, but,
Right, so, I mean, either, if we had the opportunity to really mitigate it so that we knew that it would, for the foreseeable future, it wouldn't be a problem. I don't think it, for the foreseeable future, will be a problem where it is, the way it was built and designed. But I think that if there were a way to, to address the coastal erosion hazard area and the setback issues, we would do it.
So I'm looking at the survey, and right behind the house is the pool and the wood deck.
Right. The wood, so you could, if you push the house back there, I don't think you'd accomplish anything. You'd still be in the coastal erosion hazard
Well,
area.
you would be
A little
partially
further back.
in the coastal, and yes, right.
so I
So
think,
either you do it, or,
so here's the conversation. Going through the bother of moving it 5 feet, I agree is probably not worth it.
Right.
And getting it all the way back 20 feet from the road, that would, I understand the complication of doing that also. Perhaps there's something in between. And you don't have to answer it now. We're just doing our duty to underscore the urgency of your consideration of that.
Kevin, I'm very aware of it, and as I said, I'm not in the habit of building coastal erosion hazard areas.
Understood.
In fact, I don't think I've ever done it before.
Right.
Or since. But I am in the habit of doing everything I can to mitigate any potential issues related, especially to sea level rise and, the increased storm activity. And I think we did that structurally. It's not ideal because the structure is still there. And you don't know, what our capability is in that regard. And whether it really will withstand the kind of things that we all think are going to happen. But I can tell you, we've done everything we can from our side to make sure that it will be, resistant to what we think is going to happen with sea level rise.
Okay, I think, we're going to hear from the administrator and Morty Shea, and then perhaps even some considerations that you're giving to moving, what the problems would be, what the potentials are, what the problems are, Sometimes we look at
I will
costs,
do that.
So that we have a better appreciation of what's involved in, maybe it's just not possible at all, maybe it is possible. But I think that, it's worth taking a look at. And as I said, you may end up with, the same recommendations from the administrator and Marty Shea, so I don't know.
Yeah.
All right, so let's,
We will address that and,
Okay.
and be prepared to respond to that
Okay, that's
question
good.
or that inquiry.
okay, good. So what time frame do you think, Katie, should, we have a couple of meetings, what do you think, Candace? June?
6-5.
All right. So I'm going to, no. All right,
Is there
so,
any openings on the May 15?
No.
so I'm going to move that we adjourn this application, keep it open, and adjourn it until May 15th.
No, 6.
I'm sorry, 6/5.
Second.
June 5th.
I know, you talked me into it.
Do we need to see if anyone's in the audience first?
We did, didn't we? We did,
Did you?
yes, we did.
Oh, okay.
And Zoom, I covered them both.
Okay.
I know I
missed it.
usually don't, but I did.
Okay, okay.
Bob's keeping me straight here. Mr. Mastonia.
Aye.
Ms. Kane.
Aye.
Mr. Leonard.
Aye.
Mr. Redmond.
Aye.
Mr. McDonald.
Aye.
Ms. Burgess.
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Okay, thank you very much.
See you in
Thank
June.
Okay.
Number 5 on the agenda, application of Joseph and Valerie Bernardo, 25 Boathouse Road, Shinnecock Hills, Suffolk County Tax Map Number 900-176-1-37. Applicant requests a determination that the subject parcel, Suffolk County Tax Map Number 900-176-1-37, is held in single and separate ownership from all adjacent parcels and thus entitled to relief pursuant to 330-115D.
The board has jurisdiction. Do we have somebody on Zoom for this?
You.
Peter, do we have somebody on Zoom?
Yes, they're coming on now.
Okay.
Hello.
Oh, hello.
Yes, my name is William Slight. I'm the architect for this project.
Okay, let me swear you in. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Please state your name again and your address.
William Slight,
I'm sorry, we
721.
couldn't hear that.
75
Could you say, I'm sorry, could you repeat that?
Yes, William Slight,
Okay.
721,
Just like me with the, did you ask?
7 Pond Howard Road, Watermill.
Okay. Mr. Slight, do you want to tell us about this application?
This is an application for determination for 3/10 relief for rear yard setback. This is a corner property. It is constrained, it is non-conforming as to the required
I
area
think
of the
we're on a
lot.
different
These are
application.
different, that's a different application.
We're on a different application.
This is just for the single and separate determination, Bill. Just explain to the board the single and separate determination.
Yeah.
Because once the determination is made, then you'll have the reduced setback.
So all we're considering tonight is whether this is a single and separate piece of property. And if in fact we grant you that, then your setback will be okay under the, the provisions of the law for single and separate properties.
Yes, I understand that.
Okay, so what we need from you is an explanation as to why we should consider this a single and separate property.
The property was jointly owned until July of 1968. And it has never been developed. Apparently, I guess this was before the property was originally the lots were created before the zoning, but the owner had kept the ownership until 68. And this was owned by the adjacent property at 21 Boathouse Road.
Okay, so as I understand it, this property was owned by the same person or people up till, there was a period of time that it was owned with the two pieces of property were owned together up until 1968. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. And then what we usually do is we apply a test to see whether in fact these have been maintained as separate properties. So for instance, was there ever an intent to merge the two properties? Did the two properties have, during that period of time, did the two properties have separate tax bills? Was one property used to support a mortgage on the property that was developed? I mean, these are the kinds of questions that we ask to decide whether they were actually maintained separately so that you can then qualify for the,
Yeah, they definitely were maintained separately. In fact, the properties at 21, is a landscape property. This property has always been fully overgrown with weeds and vines. Portions of it during very heavy storms used to collect water until the town improved the drainage in the area. There was, I think the original plot that was there, I think, was originally owned by the owners who owned. They also owned 81, which was on Inlet Road. And they sold off pieces of it. So in selling off these pieces, they wouldn't have been able to have a mortgage on. Wouldn't have been able to sever those pieces from the mortgage.
Okay, so are you telling me that this property never had a pool or a tennis court or a structure?
Never had anything.
Never had anything. So it wasn't used by the other property for any purpose. It was just sat there empty.
It sat there empty.
Do you have evidence of tax bills and a tax map?
Separate.
That shows that they were separately held. We need to have that in order to make the determination. I did not see it in the materials that were submitted.
Tax bills from whom?
The tax
County.
bills for the
taxing
two
authority.
properties up to, during that period of time of co-ownership.
You have the builder coming on.
1957 and 1968.
Right.
Someone just said something.
Yeah.
We have the builder coming on.
I mean,
We don't need to swear.
I don't know who it is.
are you talking about the owners of it since 1968?
Yeah, from 57 to 68, we need to see that there were separate tax bills.
So we would have to get that from the town.
Yes,
Clerk's
we wouldn't, but
office?
you would. The applicant would have to get that, yes.
What else would we want to see?
Separate tax map numbers, separate
Surveys.
tax bills. Like to see a survey. There's no survey. I don't really. There's
No,
two
there's a
addresses, but I'd like
survey.
to see.
This is survey
Yeah, for one
for one
property.
property.
Where's
Yeah.
the other property? There's virtually nothing about 80 Inlet Road West
So
in this package.
81.
And then, I mean, Mr. Gilmartin did a very good job
No, but yes.
earlier.
No, I know, but.
Setting out the standard, and so I would just,
There's a gentleman who came on. Would you like to be sworn in?
Yes, I am the builder.
Wait, let me
for
swear
25
you in.
Boathouse Road.
Wait. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes,
Please state your name and address.
Bradford Govan, 72 Nautilus Avenue, Northport, New York.
Okay, so you understand what we're talking about here. We're only deciding on the single and separate determination tonight. If in fact it's granted, then you'll be able to, I guess, get the benefit of that and the reduced setbacks, et cetera. So we're trying to find evidence that in fact these two properties were held separately, even though they were owned by the same people. And what we need is evidence of that. And the evidence would be a tax map tax map bills, anything else, Katie,
Survey.
that you can?
Surveys,
A survey for both properties?
Survey showing that
separate lines.
one of the properties is vacant.
I mean, they're not gonna have a survey for a property that they don't own.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we don't need a
Yes.
survey. It's
Point
just
taken.
any evidence or like any kind of explanation, you know, for the period of common ownership. Sometimes, you know, and I think I had mentioned to your title company, you know, like they could put together some sort of explanation of the, you know, explaining the deeds, the you know, the chain of the deeds. It's just record for the, you know, stuff for our record, documentation. For
Yes, yes, I understand. This is very upsetting for us. We've had health department approval for the new hydro-action septic system since last June. We were held up by the town engineer in Southampton for 5 months to review the drainage plan, which nothing changed. We have extensive drainage, beautiful drainage. The house is on pilings. My client bought the lot. They were at Southampton Township. They were told this is absolutely buildable lot. There's houses on either side. There's houses all up the street. This has been a big inconvenience for us. I can't believe that we're going to this length. I'm not only a licensed general contractor, I'm a real estate broker with Berkshire Hathaway Home Services. I'm the managing partner in Sag Harbor. I've never been brought to do single and separate title search. We paid $5,000 to do single and separate title search on each side. We waited 5 months for the town engineer in Southampton to give us approval on a drainage plan that we had in June. So this is very inconvenient. Our client has a wedding coming up in October. The neighbors have been upset. Wait, when are we going to start construction? I feel that this is egregious. And as a client of yours, as a licensed Southampton general contractor, you're creating tremendous amount of duress for us, for the clients. The being held up in the Southampton from the engineer for 5 months is egregious. After the health department approved it, Michael Makes is our local engineer in Southampton, and he said, Brad, I've never been held up on a drainage plan that was approved from the health department. This land was raw land. There's nothing there. There's no pool, no neighbors used it.
Governor,
yes.
you know, I appreciate the frustration, and I am so sorry that you feel like you have not been dealt with properly. But let me just say this. I think what we're looking for is one piece of information which hopefully you or your client could secure for us so that we would feel we have the record to grant you the single and separate determination. And that would be, in particular, the tax bills for that period of time between 1957 and 1968, which if there were two separate tax bills, that, in my opinion, would be sufficient to show that they were held singly and separate from each other. You know, I don't think I think you'd be able to find that from the town pretty quickly, I would assume. I know it's old.
You know, when we were just with the town attorney, though, why didn't they mention this to us? When we had to pay $5,000 to do single and separate title reports, why didn't they mention this to us? We're going to have to come back to the zoning board next month. When can we start construction on this property? It's very upsetting.
Even if we were to...
I don't know. So we could go to the tax assessor's office tomorrow and get the tax bills, and you could see that it's single and separate.
You should have had it already.
I don't understand why this wasn't brought up to us before the meeting.
All right, so let me just explain the process for the zoning board approvals. Anyhow, we would keep it open for 2 weeks for written comments, and then 2 weeks after that, we would pass the decision. If in fact you can submit this as a written submission within 2 weeks, the same schedule that we would have if we were granting this tonight, we could be able to meet. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Thank you. I understand.
All right, is that acceptable to everybody, that we
Bill
should?
Slight. Bill, is that acceptable for you?
I mean, regardless, it's gonna take a month to get this variance.
Yeah.
So if we can,
Unbelievable.
Well, I mean, what I'm seeing, just a moment, what I'm seeing in the title report is that the premises each had separate tax map numbers starting from 1948 on. 1948 or 1949. So that box is checked,
okay,
right? So then all that we need are the tax bills, which you can foil and request and get them to us.
Right.
That should have already been done, but it was not, so.
I'm sorry that you didn't have the proper counsel to tell you that in fact that would be required. But let me just
We never knew that
repeat.
we'd have to go to the zoning board of appeals for this. It was a buildable parcel from the get-go. So we got held up for 5 months
And
from
we
Southampton Engineer.
Sir, we understand that this is a frustrating situation, but the fact of the matter is, here we are, and this is what we need to do. And we'd like to help you to expedite this, so we're telling you what we need. And that should end the discussion.
And what we would,
Hello, may I speak?
sure.
This is Bill Flight speaking.
The what?
Hello?
Yes, we hear
We
you.
hear you.
Yes. I understand what you're requesting. I don't know whether you've seen within the package that we gave you, there is an 89-page title report that has deeds and land transfers, recorded deeds.
Yeah, sir, I just referenced that title report, and I said that checks the box for us needing to show that there are separate tax map numbers, but
Okay.
separate tax map numbers are one element. The other element is to see that there were separate tax bills during the period of common ownership. And so
Okay.
that's the second part that we need. Your title report, check the box for Suffolk County tax map numbers. We're fine.
Okay.
We got that.
So we would go to the.
Now we just
town,
need the tax bills
To the assessor's office.
from the period
and,
of common ownership. Those can be foiled,
Right.
Okay,
okay?
all right.
Okay, and then I'm going to ask if there is anybody in the audience who wishes to be heard on this. matter of-
May I ask a further question?
Yes.
In preparation for this hearing, I had spoken with the town attorney, Ms. Garvin.
Who?
And
Me.
she did not inform me that I would need the tax bills. I would have had them and given it to you. I didn't know that our submission was incomplete.
I mean, it's certainly not my job to tell you how to put this application together. I did tell you that you should reach out to the title company to get an explanation for the period of common ownership. And I will say that once we were notified, once you told me that you needed a variance, we put it on as soon as possible. So there's absolutely no delay on the zoning board of appeals as far.
Yeah, I'm not disputing your timing. I'm just, I just was kind of blindsided about asking for the tax bills. I certainly would have provided those for this evening had I known.
I know, but it's not my job to explain to you how to make the application. And I told you you needed a single and separate determination to explain away the periods of common ownership.
It seems like we've been clear about what's required, so maybe we can keep
Yeah,
it
and
moving.
so I'm going to
Yes,
ask if
Yes,
anybody.
what I would say though, what I would say this, as a licensed Southampton general contractor, we should have not had to wait 5 months for an engineer review. We should have told about the zoning
That has
board
nothing to do with
5
us.
months
Sir,
ago.
hold on. Can I just say, on the application, page 5 of 6 states, under single and separate determination, note, please submit any documentation to substantiate this, including but not limited to tax bills, aerial photograph, proofs of addresses, etc., during the time period of common ownership. So the direction as to providing us with the tax bills was in the application itself, in the form. That you overlooked that, we're not taking issue with that. So I would hope that you would not take issue with us, our town attorney, not informing you of something that was in clear and bold lettering in the application itself.
Okay, I
Okay?
think
So
we
let's
know.
just,
All right,
let's
all
move
right.
on.
Yeah, we
Yeah,
know
let's
what
move
needs to
on.
be
Yeah,
provided.
we'll get this
Okay.
for your next meeting so that we can move this
Okay,
along.
so-
What is the next date
All right,
of the next
let me
meeting?
ask first if there are any comments in the audience. Does anybody wish to comment on this application from the audience?
Carl, would you like to
Is
comment?
there anybody on Zoom who wishes to comment on this application?
No one.
Okay, so I'm going to take the lead on this, and what I'm going to say is that we're going to close the public hearing. We're going to keep it open for written submissions, i.e. the tax bills for the period of common ownership. until, what was the date?
5-2.
May 2nd, with a decision on May 15th.
Second.
Mr. Leonard.
Aye.
Ms. Kane.
Aye.
Mr. Macedonia. Mr. Reddick.
Aye.
Mr. McDonald.
Aye.
Ms. Burgess.
Aye.
All right, chair votes aye.
Thank you,
Okay.
gentlemen.
It's the
Thank
same
you very
time
much.
frame you would have had whether we had agreed to it tonight or not. Just make sure you get those tax bills in, please. Thank you.
Absolutely, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Okay, number 6 on the agenda, application of Lynn Leahy, 15 Tarpon Road, East Quogue, Suffolk County Tax Map number 900-362-4-8. Applicant requests relief from the following provisions of the Town Code for a proposed new one-family dwelling. 1. Section 330-6, general regulations that references 330-11, Residence District's table of dimensional regulations for a principal front yard setback from 30 feet to 22.9 feet for proposed covered porch. And 2, Section 330-84D, pyramid law, for a sky plane encroachment to the north of 2,561 cubic feet and an encroachment to the south of 2,561 cubic feet for a total of 5,122 cubic feet and any other relief necessary.
Board has jurisdiction.
Okay, are you an attorney? Okay, let me swear you both in. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but?
I do.
Okay. Please state your names and address.
Daphne Vaughn, Surfside Environmental Planning, 4 Happy Acres Drive, Shirley, New York.
Michael Leahy, 15 Tarpon Road, East Quogue, New York.
Okay, Daphne, are you going to tell us about the application? Okay.
So the subject property is located on the east side of Tarpon Road in the Shinnecock Shores subdivision in East Quogue. The lot is currently zoned R10 and is conforming to the zoning district at 11,300 square feet. The property currently contains a one-story single-family residence and benefits from a pre-existing certificate of occupancy issued back in August of 1999. The property fronts on a dug canal associated with Shinnecock Bay and contains a functional bulkhead. The project received a letter of non-jurisdiction from the New York State DEC back in September of last year and a conditional approval from the Town Conservation Board in January for the proposed project as presented. At this time, the owners wish to demolish the existing residence in order to construct a new 2-story single-family dwelling with an attached garage located below, a covered entry porch, second floor balconies, decking, and a swimming pool. As the project has received Town Conservation Board approval, the side yard setbacks shown are using 330-83K with up to 50% reduction for those side yards. Excuse me. So, however, due to the narrow nature of the lot and the 10-foot setbacks on either side, we require a pyramid variance from 330-84D in the total amount of 5,122 cubic feet, which is actually 2,561 cubic feet of encroachment on both the north and the south side. So it's evenly centered between the property lines. Additionally, the proposed covered porch located on the street side of the residence requires setback variance from 330-11 at 22.9 feet where 30 feet is required, so a variance of 7.1 feet. The property is located entirely in a FEMA AE elevation 8 flood zone and is proposed with 4 bedrooms. So, as this board is fully aware, Shinnecock Shores is a subdivision where many of the homes have, in the past 25 years, been renovated or reconstructed entirely with second floors. So a second floor is not uncommon. The proposed redevelopment is mostly located within the existing footprint with some expansion to the side lot lines as well as slightly towards the waterfront to accommodate additional square footage. So the environmental standards that have been met for the project are FEMA compliance. A new IA septic system will be installed on the landward side, as well as adequate drainage and a pervious gravel driveway. and a 15-foot vegetated non-disturbance, non-fertilization buffer that will be covenanted for the conditions of the Conservation Board approval. The total lot coverage proposed is 16.7%, where 20% is allowed. The Leahy's purchased the property back in November of 2019. And I should note the existing house is not FEMA compliant, where its first floor elevation is at 9.1, where 10 feet is required. That's mine.
And your proposed elevation, what did you say? Proposed elevation you have?
The first floor elevation is actually proposed here at 14.3.
10's required, you're going up.
We're required to have 10. We're showing it at 14.3 to accommodate the garage space underneath for storage. As you know, these are pretty small lots. Right now, they have a couple of sheds to try to accommodate stuff for their boat and, you know, just general maintenance of the property. So there's not a lot of room. I know this board has seen many a shed variance in Shinnecock Shores. I myself have done probably 4. So storage is an issue in this area.
So your elevation at 14 feet is to accommodate a garage?
Yes. Yeah, with a ceiling height down there at 7'10".
What's the ceiling height in the first and second floors?
The first floor they're showing at 10, and the second's at 8'5".
So the first floor is the ground floor.
The first, well,
Is that where the garage is?
No, the first floor is above that.
So the garage is underneath, and that's 14 feet?
no. The first floor where you're actually living
Okay.
is at 14 feet.
How
Then-
high is the garage? How tall?
Yeah, 7'10".
7'10".
So it's submerged partially. It's
Mhm.
kind of like digging out the basement, but allowing for a driveway into it partially.
One car.
Yeah.
I think it's too big for the lot. It's 3,200 square foot house on an 11,000 square foot lot. And I think you gotta reduce the pyramid.
Well, like I said, we're at 16.7 lot coverage, where 20% is allowed. So technically speaking, we could have more roofed coverage.
Well, technically,
Obviously,
keeping,
there's not a
so
lot of space for that.
I specifically went down the street to check some of these houses and then went on and these houses are really nice sized houses, especially looking for 4 bedrooms. This has 4 bedrooms and no relief. So I don't know if you did that, if you went down there and seen those houses, all those larger houses don't ask for any relief.
I know, I did look.
So I think that the house is built more like a box.
Uh-huh.
That I think with a little thought, whoever your architect is, can drastically reduce that pyramid, you know, the sky plane. And still accomplish what you're looking to accomplish. It's just too much sky, I mean,
So
you've
we
been
have
here
to give
enough.
up square footage then to get the roof line.
No, you can just redesign the roof.
Redesign the roof line, we'll redesign the house.
I think you can make the house a little bit longer. There are other ways of looking at it. I can't tell you how to do it, but there are other ways of looking at this and getting, and accomplishing what you want without all that pyramid relief. It's just so much.
So the only place that we could really go is towards the rear. Because we're already
Go a little
maxed
bit
out.
towards the rear. I mean, again, I can't tell you how to do it.
Right,
I can
no,
tell
I'm
you,
just
but
trying
it's
to get
doable.
ideas and
It's
what's
doable.
acceptable.
If you go to your architect and explain that, he can tell you that it is doable to accomplish the size house that you want there with your 4 bedrooms, because it's already on that street without.
So are we
all
better
that
off
relief.
trying to get inside with no pyramid relief? That's the best
Not
bet?
saying that.
Okay.
I'm just saying it's
Just too
just
much.
way too much, and it's just too big of a box.
Figuring out where I need to make
Yeah,
adjustments.
and you can definitely,
Also,
I
the
don't want to
height,
get in
the
trouble for
ceiling
telling you how to do it,
heights.
but yeah, you can lower that ceiling height to 9. I understand people don't like 8-foot ceilings anymore. Upstairs, you can go to an 8-foot ceiling and, you know, vault
The
the
first
ceilings.
floor is 10, so, I mean, sometimes they,
You
you
can go with
know,
both and see how much it drops the pyramid down.
Right.
Yeah.
He could just, I mean, I'm sure these are done on computers.
Wait, but which floor is 14?
That's the actual first
the
floor.
actual,
The house is
the
technically.
elevation of the
Elevation,
first floor.
The house is technically 4 feet above the minimum requirements for FEMA, to accommodate a ceiling height for a usable garage for storage.
Mhm.
So can a few inches be cut here and there? Potentially.
Mm-hmm.
May have to do better than inches.
They can, you can do
But
it.
so,
I don't know,
but
your
if it had to be
architect,
10
you can
feet,
do it.
why is it 14?
I understand that you're getting that garage under, and I understand what you're trying to get, but I would tell you to go back, you're gonna have to redraw it. Ask him to work on the roof lines, he can do it, and then come back. And
I'd rather have the garage than have to get a variance
I
for a
got
shed
you,
out there.
but you can make the
Because
whole,
sheds
you,
look horrible.
you can actually make it work. You know, so come back with a better relief number, and you might be in better shape.
Okay.
We often ask applicants to be creative. And I think what John is suggesting is like, look at the roof lines, look at the ceiling heights, and see what you can come up
So if you
with.
go down all your street and you look at all those houses that are done, you'll see that they.
But it's not
they
all, there's
fit.
not like
No.
4. I mean, most of the houses are one side.
I'm saying the
one
houses that were
floor.
done.
That's a lot.
There are some, but there's, I would say, preponderance of one-story houses. So,
Bigger ones are down on Shinnecock.
yeah, they're down, yeah,
They're in the-
exactly.
Trying to catch
And
up
it,
with
and it may
Uh.
differ in terms of the, width, though they all look about the same width.
Yeah,
I think. It may differ on the width
So
of
we can
the
go back a
property and
little
stuff
bit
like
further.
that, but, so I think John's making a really good point. Let's see what you can do. Yeah, and if maybe you push out a little bit more and I don't know, just see if you can.
Reduce,
It's doable.
reduce your deck a little bit. If other people did what John just said, you guys can too.
Yeah.
Okay, creative.
Sounds like it.
Like John said, there's ways of playing roof lines. It's kind of a square.
Just a lot of relief that you're asking
Back
for.
and change the pitch on it.
Okay, this is yours, John.
All right, so we're
Oh,
gonna,
wait, there might be people.
Okay.
Okay, sorry.
Oh, here I go
Yeah.
again. Yes, I'm so sorry. Is there anyone in the audience who wishes to be heard on this matter?
Is this? Oh,
Okay.
Good evening.
Well, we have to swear whoever is not an attorney in.
Ryan Butler, I'm an attorney. My two clients.
Okay, do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do. I'm Mary Ann Allen.
got it. Over the
Okay,
microphone, though.
and you have to come to the microphone and tell us your name and address.
My name is Mary Ann Allen. I reside at 13 Tarpon. It's my mom's house.
Okay, and you?
My name is Gina Massian, and I own 17 Tarpon Road.
Thank you.
Okay.
One second, Gina, I see your first name is G-I-N-N? Just come back to the microphone and then your last name again.
Mascia.
Okay, and Mary, I see the microphone, are you M-A-R-I?
I'm Marianne, last name Allyn.
All right, thank you. And Brian, you spelled it I or Y?
I.
I'm all set. Thank you.
Okay. Okay, so Brian, tell us
Good
your
evening.
comments.
I represent Ms. Maska and Ms. Allen. They both live to the north and south of the proposed construction. It is a 75-foot lot. The current house that exists there currently is only 20 feet wide, so I'm a little confused as how the 54 feet that they're requesting is only a little bit outside the current building envelope that exists there. We do know there are 10-foot setbacks on this lot. But once again, this exceeds the pyramid law exponentially. Allowing this to happen, or even close to this happening, would change Southampton drastically, as you would be setting a precedent that you don't want to do. Basically, the house plans that they did submit are also greater than 32 feet allowed. They're 33 feet. Mr. Reben, you did state just changing the roof line. The plans that were submitted, changing the roof line's not going to do anything. If you look at the pyramid, excuse me, proposed with the house, it's actually through 2 different bedrooms on either side of the house. These both bedrooms look into each side of the neighbors' homes, which would reduce the value of their houses, reduce their privacy. I believe this whole proposed building has to be shrunk a lot more than a few inches or a few feet. I believe the whole plan has to be, we understand there is a 10-foot setback on each side, but unless he's going to make a one-story house, he's not going to fit into the pyramid law, unless he's going to make it an A-frame house. So after today, the front yard setback also, These are 75-foot lots. I have surveys of every house within a neighbor. Nothing like this. These are little bungalows. This was not created for a 5,000 square foot house in this area. It'd be completely out of place. There's no precedent, as you stated earlier, and my clients really do not want this done.
Thank you. I think it was a 3,200 square foot house, not a 5,000.
Oh, I'm sorry, yes, Ms. Hall.
Yeah, well, that's a substantial
substantial,
reduction from the 5. And there are other homes in the neighborhood that are 2-story.
We're not saying that.
No, I
We're just
understand.
saying with
I think
the
you-
pyramid law,
Yeah.
this doesn't
Well,
even come
there
close to
are,
it.
we do take into account that there are reasons for us to grant variances on pyramid. We do
You
try
have
to keep
precedent
it.
within a 5 square mile radius of this? I couldn't find any.
Okay, well, that's interesting. I haven't done the research on that, but I would say that, I think you've heard from this board that we want them to come back with a revision and to substantially reduce the
I can
pyramid.
appreciate that. I would just wish that the owner hears the neighbor's complaints and understands that.
And then in terms of the invasion of privacy, is there a way that there can be some vegetation that would help? Putting up.
Why would we do that when the house doesn't fit into the current building requirements? If he builds a house that's compliant, nothing's going to be necessary to put up.
So in an effort to isolate some of the issues, if I heard you correctly, you're concerned about second-story windows overlooking each of your yards, right? That's one issue.
Correct.
The other issue is you're of the opinion that the size of the structure is oversized for your immediate part of the neighborhood, at least you feel, right?
Correct.
Okay. And you're concerned about the front yard setbacks?
We're not so concerned about the front yard setbacks. We're just saying the project as a whole.
I got that.
Yeah.
And are there any other isolated issues? Because the more you articulate apart from we just don't like it, and I know you're not saying that.
We didn't say that, and I explained that to my clients. The
Okay.
laws are 10 feet each side. We understand that.
Great. So as you isolate the issues, they hear that, and you heard everything we just said.
That's what we want
Right?
them to know.
So I'm giving you the opportunity to identify any other isolated issues, and whatever we're doing tonight, you should feel free to follow up in writing, particularly about things you are concerned about that you want to have addressed or believe we should address.
Yes, of course, please.
Thank you. I'm gonna
Yeah, come over and.
Thank
yeah,
you.
speak
My
into-
mom's 92. She's in Florida, but the house is entrusted to me. So, like Brian said, this is a very quiet little, street with single-family bungalows. And for us to have, and I'm all for improving the neighborhood. I'm all for if you want to build a nice house, I'm sure it's going to be beautiful. But I'm on the side where they want to build their pool. And with 10 feet setbacks, we're obviously going to hear in their pool. And what Brian didn't mention is from my backyard, I can currently see Dune Road past Shinnecock Bay. And if he builds out that way, I will no longer have water views of Shinnecock Bay. And I'm also very concerned about this towering structure eclipsing my backyard. Well, I'll never have any sunlight and can't even lay out back there. Because I'm on the north side, and the way the sun comes over, I will be in shade and darkness all day long. There's no room. I mean, these are very tiny lots. And as it is, I think the houses are close, never mind another 10 feet. We're only 20 feet apart. So I just think to be built on top of your neighbor like that is just not a harmonious living situation for anyone. Not just me, but anyone who lives in that neighborhood. Like, nobody wants to be built on top of. And I wish my neighbors well. I never met him, actually. But I think
It's right
that
there.
it's not something that anybody would want, given our position. And I'll leave it there, but.
Okay, the one thing I do want to say is that, we are not required to consider views of water. I mean, that's
Okay.
not something that,
Okay.
it's not something we take into consideration.
We do encourage neighbors to talk outside the meeting.
That's
Because
right, we do.
sometimes it's good to meet your neighbors, you're gonna live there, and
Yes.
he's going to build a beautiful house there, and
Yeah, of course we want to get along with everyone.
exactly. So we do encourage people to communicate.
But you know,
outside
you,
the
you
rules.
did mention that you're only 20 feet apart, so, I mean,
No, they're not. They're currently on the one side. Right now, the current is 25 feet. I'm sorry.
I think I have less than Gina, or Gina has less.
Yeah,
than
she
one
has
of us.
20 feet currently from his house to the property line, and you are 15 feet,
Oh, okay.
his house to her property line. So,
I'm pretty close.
okay.
so she would lose 5 feet, and she would lose
Right.
about another 10 feet. I mean, we understand, like
Yeah,
I've explained to them, that,
Yeah.
it's 10 and 10 agreeable.
That's right.
You know, but 10 and 10 a ranch, or 10 and 10 where the house is not overlooking into your backyard, is a big difference. And that's why the pyramid law was created, so that we're not building these monstrosities looking into other people's yards.
Every week.
Yeah, we do. Yes, go ahead.
We have to,
Before you talk, he wanted to respond.
we have to be above the flood zone, correct?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So even if I built a one-story house, my windows are going to be over a 6-foot fence.
But that wouldn't require a variance.
No, but I'm saying though, like they were concerned with the looking over into this, but any house that's raised to the proper flood level is going to look over into
Because
the neighborhood.
because the homes you have are not raised to that because you haven't
Right.
redone
And
them.
I'm willing to reduce my house to try and get within the pyramid law.
Can you look at the garage? maybe?
We understand that. We are not objecting to a 2-story house. We understand that. I'm just saying, from the way I'm looking at, from the 10-foot setbacks on each side, it's going to reduce that second story to both a lot inwards, where they're not on top of each other looking into each backyard.
Right, which is exactly what we've been talking about the whole time that we've been here.
Yeah.
We've expressed that asking for over 5,000 cubic feet of relief is basically a non-starter with this board. So the applicant is going to go back to the drawing board, and he's going to revise his plans to see what he can do in order to reduce the amount of relief that they're requesting. Understand, though, that to come in and just say, I don't like it, I don't want it, is not really a
That was explained to my
reasonable
clients.
argument as far as
They
we're
have to fall
concerned.
under the law. This has been
Right.
explained to them.
And we do grant variances so that people can use their property fruitfully. So, but we do encourage you to speak with the applicant and be part of the process when they have new plans, and take a look at them and speak with them, and maybe there are compromises that each side can make. And that's what we like to see. We like to see everybody compromise so that somebody gets something they want, somebody else gets something they want, and everybody walks away a little bit unhappy.
Gina, did you want to say something? Yes. Step up to the microphone, please.
Well, yes, what I wanted to say was that when I looked at the plans, I looked at the side that was going to face my house. And I counted like 10 large windows that would be looking down. I don't know if Mike could possibly, limit the amount of windows that were on the south side of his proposed. Yeah.
That's why we encourage you to talk.
She understands that, but Mr.
Yeah.
Ribbon did state, Mr. McDonald did state, if there's any concerns, please voice
Yeah,
them
you
now.
had asked
so
my
that
concern, and my concern
applicant
is-
can maybe hear and address. They've been explained several times that
If there are window issues, we have in the past asked people to change their plans in order to address those privacy concerns. We've asked for screening, we've asked for fencing, we've done all kinds of things. So that's totally within our jurisdiction and what we can do to help you to, reach your goal. Absolutely.
I think that the applicant, yes, go ahead, Deb.
I just wanted to note one thing for the record. This is an R10 zoning district, so as far as the pool is concerned, we could actually go to an 8-foot setback legally, and we're at 10, in keeping with the side yard setbacks of the proposed residence.
But you know that in order to keep neighbors pleased,
No,
that,
I just wanted to
you do
state
put
that we
up some
could be close.
screening,
Oh, no,
yeah.
screening is not an issue at all.
Okay, well then let's, address that in your,
But
submissions and
if
stuff.
she's
My
talking about
neighbor
a
at
view,
17, I
then
forgot her name. I forgot your name.
Gina.
Gina, it's
Gina.
okay, it's Gina.
I meet you a couple
All
times. on her side of the house where the windows would be, you do have like 30-foot trees in there.
Which I just had trimmed down because he couldn't get up there anymore. So I had him trim them.
That's gonna
Yeah.
create a lot of screen, and I would be more than happy to put up tall arborvitaes or green giants to provide screen.
That's the
Which
kind of
is
stuff
gonna
we
be
like.
part of the landscape package anyway. I mean, I don't wanna invade anybody's privacy or anything, but I also want us to all have nice houses eventually, and I know eventually you're going to, and so are you eventually probably going to build a house.
Probably.
Or improve it,
I don't know.
and I just want us to all be on the same page, that I'm not looking to impede on any of their privacy or anything, and I'd be more than happy to accommodate them. That's why I'm
And
gonna
you
go
know,
back
you
with the
have
setbacks.
indicated that during this hearing. You have indicated a lot of willingness to be, you know,
Which
be
is
flexible,
admirable, absolutely
which we
admirable.
appreciate.
And what you should do is exchange contact information in the hallway so that you can keep it. What? I understand that, but apparently she's never met you before, so it's a good
She's
idea for you
only
to-
there during the summer, and so.
Okay, but, you know, so be creative. We talked about, let's see what you can come back with, talk with your neighbors, try to get some sense of, you know, how you can meet some of their concerns. And with your architect, and, you know, maybe we do go with the shed as opposed to a garage. I mean, there are different things you can look at. Okay?
I don't know that portion of it makes too much of a difference. I
Alright.
was trying to
All right,
research.
well, let's see what it is.
Okay.
Anybody on Zoom who wishes to be heard on this application?
No one.
Okay, this is John's.
So we're gonna leave it open?
Leave it open, we're gonna adjourn.
We're gonna adjourn?
this meeting.
We
How
give them
much
a new
time do you
date?
guys need?
Yeah, when do you wanna come
Wow.
back?
We have June 5th or we have July
7th.
3rd.
June 5th?
Okay.
All right, we'll adjourn to 6:05. Second.
Mr. Redmond?
Aye.
I'm sorry, go ahead. Mr. Redmond?
6:05 is good. Ken?
All right. Mr. Macedonia?
Aye.
Ms. Kane?
Aye.
Mr. Leonard?
Aye.
Mr. McDonald?
Aye.
Ms. Burgess? Aye. Chair votes aye. Thank you for your
Good luck.
comments.
Thank
you all so much. Okay, number 9 on the agenda, the application of Brian Farrell, 11 Robbins Lane, North Sea, Suffolk County Tax Map Number 900-62-1-10.
You already gave me
I'm
cans?
calling it train schedules. Train is
8
leaving on track.
3/4.
Like when I used to live
Okay.
Grand Central. When I lived west.
All right, that is not going on.
Oh, again.
Carl Pentecostal, every time. 860 Montauk Highway, Watermill, New York, for the applicant. We've been, for over a year, this board has had this on their agenda.
Are you complaining?
The last time we were here, the chair said, bring the ceiling heights down to 8 feet.
Okay, thank you.
Each floor. And as a result, the pyramid relief has now gone down from just over 2,600 to 1,964 and 99 feet.
So they're 8 feet on each floor.
They're 8 feet on each floor. So that's basically it. I can go through, which I have numerous times.
Garage.
The garage remains.
Garage is gone?
No, it remains.
Oh, it does.
Remains attached.
Remains attached. I would note that garages, first of all, when we're talking about the garage, the concern was the corner clearance. I do have pictures showing.
Yeah, there looks like to be a teeny tiny corner.
That's it. And if you look at the existing corner clearance, Katie is handing down pictures, you'll see it's incredibly obstructed as it is. So the view, which is what we're concerned about, the view, the visibility.
Around that corner.
Is actually going to improve.
Proof because you're going to remove all that
You'll see
vegetation.
what's there. And then finally, this is across the street. I have some more if you run out of them.
No, John needs. Do you need one?
And then as far as whether these garages are within the character of the neighborhood,
It's like a picture from the Blair Witch Project.
the color printer does not work. And
I know, I have one too, and it doesn't work.
Have it, pay for it, and it never works. Across the street, directly across the street at,
How far is that off the road roughly?
that garage,
Roughly.
3 to 5 feet.
Thank you for the clarity.
Yes. Directly across the street at 12 Robbins is that garage. It's right on the road.
Mm-hmm.
And then at 2 Robbins Lane, I don't think I need to, there's a building being constructed, it has permits, that has a garage. I have the survey here if you want to see it.
Last one. Famous last words.
And the distance off the road is with the garage?
Is that near off the road?
Yeah, this application.
Now, where's the survey?
What did you ask?
I'm seeing the
20
distance.
22 feet off the road, 24 feet, 28 feet, and 22 feet.
And this is the other house that's being. This
That's
is,
the other new house that's being constructed. That permits were issued, so that will have a garage.
all right.
So over the course of this application, I'll just go through, again, due to the wetland permits, our building envelope, even though it's an R40 lot, even though the size of the lot, it was reduced to 4,000 square feet outside the wetland buffer. This was pushing everything because of those wetlands towards Robbins Lane. Originally, we had 9-foot ceilings. They've been reduced to 8. Originally, the garage was detached closer to the road in the front yard, or I guess it would be the yard opposite the water. That was pushed up to the house to limit the incursion into that corner clearance and limit the setback relief. And the roof deck, which was important because, well, first, it was very problematic for the neighborhood. And it was also to accommodate the fact that in the interior entertaining space, which is that second floor, which is kitchen, dining, and living, is just about 500 square feet, so it's very small. So the roof deck was meant to supplement that. That has been removed. So we've made some significant concessions in what is a very burdened lot, both in contemplation of the concerns of this board and the concerns of the neighborhood. I'll remind you, the house is about 400 square feet. I'm sorry, 1,400 square feet. 1,400 square feet. So it's very small, very modest.
1,400.
You'd be like,
square
yeah.
feet- 1,400 square feet total, each floor?
Total. Yeah, it's a small house.
So total is 1,400 square feet?
Yes.
All right, have you,
I mean, that's approximate. It's about 900 on the first floor, 500 on the second.
okay,
There's 3 floors, aren't there?
There's a basement underground.
it's, that's not furnished, right, finished.
It's finished, yeah, it's finished, yeah.
So is
the
that
above
included?
ground-
Oh, this is only the above ground, right?
Shit.
Okay.
These numbers you have in this, they correspond to the site plan?
Yeah, I don't think they do.
They don't, because I'm looking, there's 12.1, and you're saying, so number 2, you need relief of 17.7
They don't
feet.
correspond to the site plan. They correspond to the survey, which was presented last time. We
Okay.
had this issue last time.
Okay.
The survey corresponds to those numbers.
Okay.
The site plan is just being, which is the survey controls. The site plan that was just to show the reduction in ceiling height and pyramid.
Okay.
Thank you. Oh, here, I see. Yep, 25.6,
Okay.
12.3.
Where I put that.
Perfect.
All right. Have you had discussions with the neighbors?
We've just, yeah, we've been in touch with the neighbors throughout. These plans were actually picked them up on the way here today. I actually photographed them and texted them to one of the neighbors who I'm most in contact with,
But just today?
just today.
Okay.
That's when I saw them, was just today.
Yeah, okay.
We have a request in the submission. What was the request, Katie? Was it keep the record open, somebody asked for an adjournment?
have no idea.
Hold on.
I don't think there's a need for an adjournment. This is, the plan is exactly the same, it's just 2 feet lower. They can, if they have comments on that, they can submit in the record. This has been open for a year and a half.
Back July 3rd.
No, thank you.
Okay, I am going to, are there any other questions from the board?
Let's
I
hear
mean,
it from the audience.
I stepped out to go to the restroom. What's the total pyramid now? Because I know it changed since the application was.
Yeah, not 1,964.99.
It's right here, on the submission that he gave us.
Okay, there it is, right there.
Yeah.
Got it,
Okay.
got it.
There have been changes made to this plan and to
You
this
said you wanted
application.
to put on each one.
Very much, but you've also done, like, you moved the garage, you took out the roof deck, you lowered the ceiling heights, you pushed the garage back to the house. Yes, there have definitely been changes, so let's see what the.
No roof deck.
And
I
no
did
roof
mention
deck.
that. No roof deck, yes, I did, because that was a big one in the beginning. Okay, is there anyone in the audience who wishes to be heard on the matter of 11 Robbins Lane? Okay, please come up.
Does Candace have stamped copies?
No, thank you for mentioning that. Because we just got this today and the architect is on vacation this week, we will submit stamped copies next week. He reviewed this, he just wasn't down to stamp it.
In full size to scale.
It will be full size, yes.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Mary Ann O'Connor. I've been here before.
We sworn you in before, yes. Marion, you can sit down if you want.
We are respectfully requesting an adjournment. The architect that works with us, that is a member of our community and is affected by this, received these changes 30 minutes ago. He's had briefly been able to look at them. We believe we dispute some of the things that are being said, but we can't accurately depict that or know if we're right or wrong until we really look at this again. So yes, we would like it adjourned so that we have a chance to look at it. And I don't think some of the measurements for the roof and stuff and the ceiling heights are what is being said, but I don't know how accurate that is until we have a chance to look at them.
So I'm testing the accuracy based on
We
nothing.
have no, because we have not been able to look at them. We would like to look at them and be able to
There
say,
is a
yes,
written
this is
comment
correct.
period.
I was
Yes,
just
and
going to
that's
say
what I
that.
was gonna say
I was
that,
just
yeah.
going to say that.
Have the
Last
full
time we were here, the roof deck had already been taken away. The garage had been attached to the house. We had difficulties with all of that. They haven't really changed anything. They really have not changed anything that we had requested originally. Now, yes, they're entitled to build, we've been through all of this, but they are not entitled to build anything they want.
Well, I
You
don't
have to
think
give
that
them
they are,
permission to do it.
you know, in all fairness, we have listened carefully to your suggestions and your concerns. I think the applicant has also responded to them, maybe not to the extent that you would like that, but I would say at this point that your architect will have a chance to take a look at it and can submit written comments. If in fact this board finds that his written comments require a rehearing, we can always set that up. But I am of the opinion now, we have heard this time and time again, you've had a lot of opportunity to make comments which he has accommodated to a certain
No, he
extent.
has not accommodated anything.
Okay, well then you have the
And
right,
this has gone on for so long.
Yes,
We
it
didn't
has.
cancel all of those meetings, they did.
all right, well, that may
That was
be,
their choice.
that may be. But
That was
I,
not because of us.
at this point, who's the lead on this?
So.
Oh, it's me. All right, okay. So go ahead, do you want to say
Yeah,
something?
if I could just sort of process manage suggestions. So when do you think you can get stamped?
They won't be different than this Monday.
Okay. And then, but to your point, sometime Monday, there'll be electronic or paper versions of this. And how much time would you need?
Well,
Her
I mean,
architect has them. If she wants
We
to,
just got them
I'm willing-
30
Okay,
minutes
but
okay.
hold on, the written submission period is to
Well, I'm-
May 2nd, so you'll have 2 weeks.
I'm just trying to gauge, is that
That's a
reasonable?
probably
within
enough
that period of
time. That's more than
I
enough
think
time.
so. I think so at this
to
point.
determine whether 2
Yeah,
feet
it's
have
more
been
than enough
removed?
time.
Yes.
Right.
I would think.
Yeah, because exactly, that's all you've done is remove 2 feet.
Okay, I understand. You're not,
Other people want to speak, thank you.
okay. All right, who else wants to come up and speak? We've seen you before as well. Just repeat your name, please.
Maureen Dean, and I live at 7 Runnels.
Okay,
Please
Maureen,
take a seat.
have a seat. Maureen.
Maureen.
Maureen Dean, right? Yeah.
And like Mary Ann, I have concerns. We were told that we would have something to look at before this meeting tonight. And
You know, and it is problematic because, sometimes we get submissions really late. And,
I know, I
it's.
kept checking the meeting.
Yeah, and it is a little bit of a problem, Carl. I mean,
I cannot
and for us
control
as well.
when these come in. I certainly talk to the client
Yeah,
and
yeah.
I push them.
Yeah.
I can only get when they're given to me.
Okay, because we also haven't had a chance to take a look at this. How does the board feel about adjourning versus the written comment
I think
period?
we should leave it for a written comment period at this point. I mean, we've gone on and on
Over a
with
year.
this case. And
I
I
would-
think we've pretty much exhausted so many of the concerns. And if there are concerns, there's a 2-week written submission period.
Yeah.
And if you have an architect who's a professional, who knows how to do this quickly, they can put in some written comments. And let's say something comes out in the written comments that really are disturbing to us, then we can reopen this.
We will reopen the hearing.
You don't lose
I'm not
anything
sure
by
that I
not
trust
getting
that
an adjournment.
We wouldn't know, without there being another meeting, that we wouldn't know what was being presented, what was being changed.
Because to
and
be fair,
what
these
people's
plans
concerns were.
the plans are made by licensed professionals, so I can't imagine that something's gonna come up that's disturbing. I think your architect will say this isn't sufficient, they didn't reduce
Right.
it enough, but.
It's not like you're suddenly going to see a 30-foot atrium. It's unlikely. We're talking about inches at this point.
Well, I would like to see the front yard setback increase. It's 12.1. And the rest of the neighborhood is 30 feet, at least.
Across the
I'm not
street,
asking-
across the street is the garage that's 3 feet.
Well, that's,
All right, yeah, I know, but let's.
that's next door. That's not across.
But
let's-
it still is there. It's still a reality that we have to contend with. So you can't say that everything in the neighborhood conforms, because there's something that doesn't. So we can't use, sweeping generalizations with regard to it.
Well,
And also remember,
understand
this
that-
is a constrained lot.
Yeah, we understand that you are not necessarily in favor of this. We are going to take a look at it. We're going to make a decision. And in the meantime, your architect will have a chance to review it, to see if there's any inconsistencies in what the plans say. If he reads it differently, I don't know. And we're going to get his comments. But I don't think it's going to necessarily change the fact that you don't want this house built versus.
I'm not opposed
I
to there
understand.
being a
You've made that
structure on the
clear.
property.
Yes, you have made
I'm
that
not.
clear. In all fairness, yes, you have.
Another thing to keep in mind is you do have another 2 weeks a little more than 2 weeks in order to put in a written submission on May 2nd. Our decision wouldn't be rendered. Let's assume everything goes according to plan and we render a decision, it'll be May 15th, another 13 days later. So that gives us an opportunity over the course of almost 2 weeks to review your submissions and take them into consideration. So there's ample time. There's a month between now and when a decision would be rendered. So,
And I would assume that you would share any comments that you have with Mr. Benacasa so that he can also respond to your comments, so that we have everything in front of us at one time. And we get it before the meeting.
I will do everything I can.
Well,
I'll give it to you when I get it.
Okay. But if in fact we don't, then we possibly will adjourn. All right, you got that?
Yes.
Okay. All right, this is, anybody else in the audience who wishes to be heard? Is there anybody on Zoom who wishes to be heard on this matter?
There is someone on Zoom. I'm bringing them on now.
Okay, thank you.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi. Can you?
This is Marcus Stohanchi. You have sworn in before on the same
Okay,
matter.
thank you, Marcus. Go ahead.
Hi, good to see you. I just wanted to go through a few points, and I know this has been going on for a really long time, but to be quite honest, I was really upset, as everybody else in the community, to now hear that the architect who is on holidays all week means that those drawings were done last week. And we, in fact,
No, it doesn't.
got those.
That is not the case. You are
Okay.
drawing an inference without any evidence. The architect
Okay.
is away, communicated with his staff this week.
Okay, I
He
see.
printed it. He just is not here to sign it.
To stamp it.
Yes.
Okay, thank you for clarifying.
got
So we didn't get those drawings, and the community, I just looked at them. Carl was nice enough to text them to me. Thank you for that, Carl. And I got them at 6:45, and there was no communication, or we didn't know what the intended plan was. But I looked at the drawings, and just to be, the community spent a lot of time going through the neighborhood. The question is not if a garage is appropriate or not compared to other garages in the community. The issue was that it's a corner lot, and I think a lot of people on this board also felt that the garage at this corner is a safety issue given how tight the road is and how tight the corner is. So the question is not, is it a garage and do neighbors have a garage? The question is, do we need a garage on the corner and is it safe? With regards to the heights, and Carl, correct me if I'm wrong, would you say that the build-up on the second floor ceiling is the same as it was before?
The
Second floor ceiling height, is it the same as
Not the
before?
ceiling heights, the build-up of the ceiling, is it the
Build-up.
same as before?
I don't know what the builder.
All right, well, this is
Well-
a technicality that
Okay,
your
well, let me-
architect is going to address.
Well, let me tell you why I'm asking, because the total height, what we are hearing is, and again, there's no drawings that the community can look at. I got the drawings, but nobody else. So what we are being told is that the ceiling height was reduced by 1 foot from 9 to 8 on each floor. So that would mean that the total building height was reduced by 2 feet, if my math is correct. So now, if I had a building height of 24.4, the new building height should be 22.4. And if you look at the drawings, and I know you also just got them, you'll see that the building height is in fact 23.4, so it's only reduced by a foot. So I think the garage wasn't addressed and the ceiling height wasn't, or the building height, because that's why we're reducing the ceiling height, wasn't reduced by 2 feet, but by 1 foot. And I honestly think just to send it, like literally to get it at 6:45 is just not fair. I think everybody deserves to look at them, and I do think there's still a safety issue with the garage.
Okay, but
So I'm in favor of adjourning it. That is really, I think that's a fair thing to do. The community spent a lot of time and money really making a case why they don't approve this and why they're against it. And I really think out of respect to the community and a lot of people that are involved in this, I think it's fair to keep it open and adjourn it.
So I didn't mean to not give you the opportunity to respond, so please do. In any way you wish.
So I will check, Marcus's point is well taken. If it's a 2 foot reduction in height, it should be a 2 foot overall. That may be, again, these were done quickly, that might just be an error on the plans. But that should be 22.4, so I'll clarify that.
It's 23.4, yeah.
Yeah, but it should be 22 to your
Correct,
point. Yeah.
correct. That's, yeah, absolutely.
So I will talk to the architect about that and make sure that that's noted on the final plans as 22.
Okay.
And that might actually give us even more pyramid relief.
That will give you more perimeter relief, correct?
Yes, that's right.
Yeah.
All right,
Again-
given that that's the case, then I'm sort of inclined to adjourn this until the next meeting.
I agree with that. I think there's some things to sort out. I think there's enough questions. I know that, Carl, you've been here a number of times. It's frustrating. There's a lot of frustration in the mix. I just think the more prudent course for everyone is to take a little bit of extra time, let people hash it out, and move on.
And I would do it for the next meeting. I'm not, in 2 weeks. And that gives you a chance to have the architect look at it and correct whatever needs to be corrected.
That's fine. If you want to do that, that's fine.
Yeah, I'm
I'm not going to fight too hard on that.
okay.
I think that these issues have been vetted enough, but if the board,
I think the issues have been very vetted, But I do feel a little bit disconcerted by the fact that everything, lands on our desk at 6:45.
I feel the same way.
Okay, so having agreed that that in fact is the issue, I think you've made a lot of adjustments. I'm very pleased that you are addressing some of the concerns. I would also hope that you would talk about corner clearance in terms of all the garbage that's there, all the vegetation and everything else. You have to take all of that out.
5-1.
Yeah.
You could squeeze in on 5-1.
5-1.
Yes, no, 5-1, yeah. So it's mine.
Number 1 on the agenda.
Is there anybody else?
Number one in our hearts.
I'm sorry, you're gonna have to do better than that with Candace. It's gonna require more.
too.
Yeah. Okay, is there anybody else on Zoom who wishes to be heard on this matter?
No one else.
Okay, having seen that there is this, this
No, I understand.
correction
There is a
issue?
correction issue.
Okay.
That's fair. I'm
So,
not really, I'm.
Okay,
I
then good.
understand it, we're good.
Okay, good.
I mean, the only thing I would say is it's a 2-foot correction. We consistently have people just do a correction on the survey or on the plan
But
by
given the
written
timing
submission.
and the rush, I think, again, we're pretty.
I don't see the need for it, but
Okay, well then you can vote against
I know,
it.
I understand that. I'm just putting on the record what I believe my position
Consent to
is.
the adjournment, so no one has to vote no.
All right, so we're going to,
You come back May 1st.
Yeah, we're number 1 on the agenda.
I will, we won't be number 1 on the agenda. I need those plans to be no later than Tuesday. Will
You'll
that
have
be
them
in Monday?
Monday. It's just that Will's away this week. And the staff drew
Well,
them.
you might not get them on Monday if there's an issue with the height.
yeah, he has to
I'm
change
just
the
letting you know
plans.
later than Tuesday because I have to have
I
time
will
to
get
get
them to you by Tuesday.
Okay, I have to have time to get it to the board before the.
I'm in contact with Will. I can talk to him tomorrow. He can update them
That's
and
an
comes
easy
back
thing.
and stamp them.
Okay, just no later than Tuesday.
Thank you for that. Okay, because.
All right.
Right. We need this, we need to be able to look at what the plans are actually in advance, and Candace has to get them to us. So I thank you for the adjournment, but I'm gonna take a vote anyhow. I move to adjourn this application until 5-1.
Second,
Ms. Kane,
aye.
Mr. Leonard,
No.
Mr. Macedonio,
No.
Mr. Redhand,
Aye.
Mr. McDonald,
Aye.
Ms. Burgess.
Aye.
All right, chair votes aye. Okay, we'll see you the next
Only
meeting.
because you said okay, otherwise I said no. What'd you say? Only because you said okay.
Okay.
Nice job.
You don't have to apologize.
Carl.
I just letting them know.
Okay, number. Call these two together. Number 10 and 11 on the agenda.
Wait, and we should, I didn't put them together.
Yes.
I believe we did, yes.
we did.
Number 10 and 11 on the agenda, 96 Wilshire Street LLC, 96 Wilshire Street, North Sea, Suffolk County Tax Map number 900-132-1-61. That's it.
Okay. All right, how are we doing this, gentlemen? What is my file on this? Here it is. Okay. Are you speaking first?
I was expecting to, as the applicant's,
Application.
Okay, I'm just checking. Okay, fine.
hi,
Thank
David
you.
Kirst from Matthews, Kirst, Cooley, and Choron, East Hampton, New York. I'm going to keep my comments brief. We've submitted papers already, as has Mr. Gilmartin. We're under no illusion that this won't be a tree farm or plant nursery at some point. That's, a foregone conclusion. Our issue is that this should be still subject to site plan and reasonable limitations through the planning board process. It's detailed in our papers why we feel that way. There were examples made in the submission from Mr. Gilmartin. None of those are apples and oranges to this property. They are, or all of the ones that I could see were active agricultural uses at the time of those applications. This is not. This has been classified for tax purposes as residential vacant land. It has not been farmed for in excess of 25 years, probably closer to 30 based on aerials. There is no active agricultural use on this property. It's been cleared. It's been now used as a plant nursery. We feel it should have gone through site plan for that. That's really all I have. I don't want to burden you with going back through our written submission or any of that. You have it in front of you. You'll take it into account and render your decision accordingly. So,
Okay, thank you, David.
thank you.
Good evening, David Gilmartin. I represent 96 Wilshire LLC, who is the owner of the property that's the subject of this application. And what I would say to you, and it's something that you do every single application, is you review the code, right? And the code is abundantly clear here. What applications are subject to site plan and what are accepted. This application actually meets two of the exceptions under 330-181A, which governs site plan. The code specifically provides an exemption to site plan for agricultural properties. Their buildings, their structures, right? Secondly, Section 4 of 181A says a change in tenancy from one permitted use to another. Here, you know, we can have a long-winded argument about this. Much of the, not maybe much, but some of the testimony by the neighbors and the people offering this application has said it hasn't been used as agriculture in this many years, 25 years, whatever it was. Agriculture's a permitted use, right? Their argument seems to be about abandonment. You can't abandon a permitted use, right? So if it was agriculture, it remains agriculture. I'd also say to you, vacant land is a permitted use, right? So either way, the use of this property is permitted. A plant nursery is permitted under the code. So we firmly meet both exceptions 2 and 4 in the code, and the code gives you your direction. And I would ask, you know, we went through an entire process with the building department, and I think you've seen it. There was a lot of backing and forthing. And frankly, I think the building department was wrong in making us take down the shed. But to move that process along, we agreed to it. But agricultural buildings are specifically accepted. So we went through that process. The building department put us through the ringer. They have inspected it before they would issue the permit. We made some changes. They inspected it again, and then they inspected it before they issued the certificate of compliance. The building department made a correct decision here. It was rational and reasonable. If there are other complaints about other activities on the property, this isn't the place to bring them forward. Bless you. And so we ask that you uphold the permit.
Okay, Kevin? did you
Yeah,
want to say something?
thank you. David, could you just clarify the nursery registration certificate from Ag and Markets? That's, how long does that last? How long is that in effect for? It was dated August 14, 2023, but do they cycle every 5 or 10 years, or if you know?
I don't off the top of my head, although
Okay.
I think as long as it's a plant nursery, we've obviously got the first one, so it'll.
Well, I mean, what I'm getting at is, you know, that's still in effect. You believe it's still in effect, even though it's now, what, 15, 18 months. And then the county Ag and Market District number 5, did they do those every 10 years, if you recall?
That's my recollection, but I wouldn't bank on that.
Well, no, what I'm trying to get at is how durable are the
I understand.
are
I
the
think
designations?
But I think it is 10 years based on some other cases that I have, but I haven't had one recently that I can.
So is your
count
point that
quickly.
if it's not durable, then it reverts to something else?
Well, I was just wondering, you know, I mean, obviously a person can close their business up tomorrow for one reason or another, right? But what I was getting at is it's like, it isn't like a spot check, right? I mean, the county designation for ag districts, it's been a while since I've looked, but I recall them being at least 5 or 10-year cycles. So you have to be in the practice, and then you apply again, and it gets renewed.
Yeah.
And if they have the designation, and it includes the property,
Yeah. It's pretty obvious that it's.
The thing, why we included that was to prove that it was a plant nursery, right? So that we met it under the code, but it's really the code here that governs, right? That was proof that we're using it as a plant nursery.
David, did you want to have yeah.
I agree with Mr. Gilmartin. I'm not disputing the ag and markets classifications or that it may be currently used as a plant nursery. It's how we got there. We feel the building department was correct the first time when they sent it to the planning board. We feel that the planning board was correct in listing a significant number of defects in the site plan application. And we feel that that's the correct avenue that this should go down for this property. And like I said, me and Mr. Gilmartin will disagree on the law, and it's up to you on how you come down on that. But that's all I have.
Yes.
In response to that, the building department made a determination, and then there were changed circumstances, which happens every day in the building department, and then they changed their position. You can't say what happened 6 months before governs what happened in the future after the circumstances changed. We proved to the building department the circumstances changed, and they changed their opinion of what we were doing.
Okay. Is there anybody on the board who wishes to comment on this matter?
I'm actually the owner.
Yes, I know. We've sworn you in. Just state your name again, please.
My name is Peter Grealish. And
Peter, I'm sorry, can you spell your last name for me again?
Grealish. ISH. I just wanted to say that I feel like that I've done everything that everybody's told me to do in order to do what I'm doing there. I'm really trying to be the best neighbor I can. The last time Kevin was here, he was trying to convince you that I was running my tree operation out of there, and I have told you from the last meeting that I definitely do not do that. So I don't know why he was trying to portray that I'm running my tree business out of there. I do not. I've tried to be a good neighbor and I've stated this before, by putting up 50 20-foot trees along Wiltshire Street to screen out the neighbors to the north of me. And I've put 3 rows of 15-foot Leland cypress between me and Kevin Tereski. And I thought me doing that, especially when this is after I got my designation from the town planning, the building department. So I was trying, even when he was against me, I was still trying to be a good neighbor by trying to do the right thing. And he has not once, approached me with any concerns about what I've been doing there. And he has not given me the opportunity to say, Peter, could you, and he was saying last time that I was operating from 6 o'clock in the morning till 8 o'clock at night. And this is definitely not true. There is very little activity at this property. When I need to go pick up a plant or bring a plant there is some small pieces of equipment in order to plant these trees. And I believe that I do have the right to have equipment on the property that facilitates me doing that.
I've been by that property a number of times.
Yes.
And I think you've done a very nice job of screening. And I never see too many trucks or pieces of equipment in the property, as far as I can tell. And I'm not there every day, obviously, but the times that I've gone by. And I think that you have accommodated some of their concerns.
Thank you very much.
Anybody in the audience who wishes to be heard on this? Anybody on Zoom who wishes to be heard on the matter of 96 Wilshire?
No one on Zoom.
Okay, whose is this? this mine? Oh, it's Bob's, it's yours. Okay.
We're doing them together, right?
Yeah, so before we do that, I just want to say that, I have to say that I do listen to Mr. Grohl Martin's arguments. They seem more favorable to me. Mr. Kirst, I know that you have made some good, strong arguments as well, but I'm of the opinion that, that this didn't need to go through the process and that the building department, the recent decision of the building department is the one that I go with. So, does anybody else want to comment?
The only thing I would add is, I appreciate process, but if there's anything substantive that can be submitted into the record that would help inform the board about whatever its final decision is, that would be useful to have. But I'm happy, in fairness, I think on the argument, Mr. Grohl Martin, in my view, probably prevails on the case and the facts and the interpretation of the law. So if there's any specific aspects still present on the property that we have a jurisdictional interest in knowing about, that should be submitted into the record to be considered in whatever final decision we make. I'd entertain that. Talking about what process went wrong in the past, but here's where we are.
Yeah.
So, let us know if there's something else that we would benefit from knowing as it relates to the final decision.
What kind of things are you thinking of?
Yeah.
I'm sorry?
What kind of things are you thinking of?
Well, I don't know if there's a gap in the screening. Is there some other operation?
That's not what we're here for.
That's what I was going to say.
That's not what we're here for.
Be careful as to what our jurisdiction is.
Anybody can submit anything they want. If it's not within our jurisdiction, we can't.
Yeah.
We have no opinion.
I don't think this is a situation where we can condition our decision on something happening
And I
on the
do
property.
appreciate the fact that the owner has made accommodations and, met with some of the concerns of the neighbors since they first raised them. So, okay.
How do we close? Same way?
Yeah, same way, yeah. We're gonna,
So I'm looking to close the public hearing on this, hold it open for written submissions till May 2nd with a decision on May 15th.
Second.
That's number 10 and 11. Yeah, together.
Mr. Mastonia.
Aye.
Mr. Leonard.
Aye.
Ms. Kane.
Aye.
Mr. Redmond.
Aye.
Mr. McDonald.
Aye.
Ms. Burgess.
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Thank you both very much.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank
Number
you.
12 on the agenda,
Thank you, Mr.
82 Trees LLC, 82 Trees Lane, Bridgehampton, Suffolk County Tax Map Number 900-67-1-2.16.
Where are we?
Earl Benacasa, 860 Montauk Highway, Watermill, New York, for the applicant.
More enthusiastically.
I don't have it in me anymore.
Just hold it open.
I mean, please, let's adjourn.
Let's adjourn. You'll remember this one. It was the Padel court in the front yard, which you all hated.
Now you moved it to the back.
Moved it to that back corner. I had come to you, I think it was 2 weeks ago, maybe a little more, and kind of gave you a preview this was going to happen. One thing changed, and that is because of the location of septic and in consultation with his engineer who's going to be handling that, because septic is in this location. It's preferable that the court be 15 feet from the eastern side yard as opposed to 20, which was the preview I showed you last time. I'll remind you that the setbacks are 30 in the zoning district. I'll also note that the owner of Lot 13, which is the impacted parcel, is supportive.
Do you have a letter to that effect?
I have none of the letter. I can ask that one and submit it off the calendar.
Okay, and is there,
It's well screened, I assume.
what's the screening?
If he wants, there is a hedgerow there,
Right.
but if you want to make it a condition, that's no problem.
I think so.
And there's actually a hedgerow in front. It's the whole property.
Well, I remember, but I think it's, indicating that
On-
by hand
on
or
the,
something, I think wouldn't be a bad thing.
It notes that there are wire fence with hedges along the line, but if you want to condition the variance on maintenance of that hedgerow, that would be good.
Yes, and if you can get the property owner on the other side to submit a letter of support, I'd appreciate that.
You can do that during written comment.
Right.
Is there a noise concern associated with the practice of playing padel?
It's
Yeah, I
not
mean,
like, it's not like pickleball, it's actually enclosed in a
Yeah.
case, and it's more like a turf.
Okay.
As opposed to like a pickleball's more solid.
A hard surface.
Hard surface.
Is this sunken or not?
It's not sunken.
It's not sunken, okay. And it does have I know it does.
It's
supposed to have
enclosed
a-
with glass,
Enclosed
isn't
with
it?
glass.
Yeah.
Yep.
A little more like squash, I think, right?
Yeah.
And the ball is it's more like tennis than
Mhm.
pickle. It's not that.
Hard ball.
Fiber, what is it, graphite with the wiffle ball that
Yeah,
tickle is.
Yeah.
Was a normal group of people play for an hour and a half, 2 hours, or is it like or is it like a baseball game where it goes on for 3.5 hours?
Oh, no.
Well, that's not our
It's a lot,
concern.
it's a lot more like tennis than baseball.
I'm just trying to
Each match is
trying to
12 hours
appreciate
long.
the anticipated use and impact.
You know, and it's interesting because we haven't seen many of these, so we are learning about padel courts, so that's part of
I think they're the next
the
thing.
next thing. I think you're absolutely right.
Are everybody's setbacks upside down? Just mine.
Yes, they're upside down.
Numbers are upside down,
Yes.
What are you talking about? No.
This is with the glass enclosure, right?
yeah. You have to flip
Yes.
the survey for them to be right.
How high is the glass?
It's not like 6 feet.
You gonna fix that?
Yes.
We have no height.
You want me to fix that? I'll have them fix it.
Well, it's
Were you looking for pyramid relief?
Oh, I mean, the back, yeah, where it says, yeah, okay.
6, 7 feet, something like that.
Yeah, it's
All
like
right,
6
so
feet.
you need to fix that.
We'll make them right side up.
And so then we need to adjourn.
Is there anyone in the audience who wishes to be heard on 8 Trees?
Just like skewering him.
Is there anybody on Zoom who wishes to be heard on 8 Trees?
No one on Zoom.
Okay, this is John.
So we're gonna close this for written comments for 5-2,
Uh-huh,
and decision for 5-15.
Second.
okay, good. All right.
Happy Easter.
Mr. Red- Let me just take the vote. Mr. Redhead?
Aye.
Mr. Leonard?
Aye.
Ms. Kane? Mr. Mastonia?
Aye.
Mr. McDonald?
aye.
Ms. Burgess?
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Okay, thank you.
I forgot my application.
Me too.
It was in the other package.
And packet management problems.
So do I.
Okay, John, you want to?
Oh, sorry.
Yes.
Number 14 on the agenda, Thomas Walker, 1311 Flying Point, Watermill, Suffolk County Tax Map number 900-179-1-29.
Hi.
I left you in limbo. I'm so sorry.
You saved the best for last?
Yes, of course.
There we go.
Of course. Okay, did I swear you? I did swear you.
You haven't sworn me in.
All right, okay. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Please state your name and address.
Elizabeth Walker, 1311 Flying Point Road.
Yes, it is. Okay, so what are we here for? Oh, I'm sorry, Daphne, because I've swear you in so many times. Okay,
I got a good.
you got a good team now, okay.
Daphne Vaughn, Surfside Environmental Planning.
You swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. Okay, thank you.
Uh,
Okay.
So I'm Denise Shern. I'm standing in again for Brian Nicasio, who's on vacation this week. I was here at your last hearing. As you may recall, this had to be referred to Ms. Shearer for comments, and I did get some comments back. And one of the comments was, can you pull the house closer to the road? And actually, Member McDonald had asked that at our last hearing.
Right.
So what I've handed out to you are a few exhibits. One of them is with my own coloring, is our existing site. And this is just to show you the area of vegetation that I was talking about in the front of the property that's native, has been there for a very long time. I said, I think you may recall that I mentioned that it looked like there would be bunnies in there, rabbits.
There are so many. It's bunny season.
So that's one reason that we don't want to move the house is we want to save that vegetation. We don't want to lose that vegetation. And then I've also highlighted on here for you the trench drains that we have under the driveway. Drainage is incredibly important on this property. And then to the, I guess it's the left of that, is the septic system, which does take up quite a bit of room in the front of the property. So
let me just clarify. Ms. Shira asked you to consider moving the house closer to the road.
Correct.
You've taken a look at that and you find that the drainage and the septic, make it difficult to do that.
Make it difficult without removing the existing vegetation, which we would, the client would rather not do.
It's been there since I was a kid. Nothing's changed.
She'd like to keep it the way it is.
So,
Sure.
in the hierarchy of
Yeah.
what's important on the parcel against, the dune is more important than the vegetation.
We're not on the
And,
dune.
and, the concern, there's the risk exposure. This house is pretty close, excuse me, I have to take my glasses off.
It's 34 feet from the crest of the dune.
Yeah, that's,
But it's totally within
it's-
the coastal
yes.
environmental
It's
hazard
seaward
zone.
of the CHA line. Yes.
you guys sat through the beginning, you heard the
Yes,
former
we did.
conversation.
Yes.
Same issues apply. Same difficult person asking the same difficult questions, right? So, if you,
I also handed out the neighbors survey for you
Which
guys
also
to look
used to
at.
be our property, which we sold to him with an agreement that neither one of us would ever build a bigger bungalow.
So
And he built a ginormous house now.
the existing house that we're talking about is 1,244 square feet. The house next door was expanded seaward of the CHA line, was not asked to move forward, and in fact has now put a pool there, so they can't move forward. They're closer to the dune than we are. They're at 25.5 feet. So just in terms of comparison, you've got, house right next door to each other, one house further from the dune than the other house. And the other house is allowed to expand seaward of CEHA
which one is that? Immediately to the
immediately to my.
To the west.
west, right?
Exactly. So right next door. The whole premise behind this application is to raise the existing house to meet FEMA. We're not expanding the house at all. We just want to go from 15 feet where it's at right now to 19 feet, which is what FEMA would require.
It's 21.
Is it 21?
21 and a half.
Okay, thank you.
Which actually is FEMA compliant because it's a VE zone, so it needs to be basically 4 feet.
Okay.
And the conversation around, if you're lifting the house to raise it, you're halfway toward moving it. That's sort of the thinking, and you can see on your own aerial, notwithstanding what happened to the house next door, this house, yours, and the application property is considerably far forward as compared to the rest on their way to Meacock's Cut. So that's just the thinking, and the statute states as its policy to try to bring lots more into conformity than perpetuating and grandfathering everybody in the existing location, thus the request. So I love vegetation, I like rabbits, I like dunes more.
Well, we built the dune as well. Remember that we built the dune. That's not a natural dune. We actually paid to put that dune in. And also, I'd like to say our house is 1,244 square feet. We do
Understood.
not want to add a single square foot to it. If anything, I'm trying to restore an architectural find, which I didn't even know. I grew up out here. I didn't even know that it was done by a local architect until actually someone here showed me that the architect thought it had been torn down and built into one of our massive neighbors' houses And when his family found out that the original house was still there exactly as it was, we're just trying to restore it to proper FEMA. But the other thing is, I wouldn't mind moving the house back if I thought it would help. The problem is that my neighbors have put up these giant trees. So we've not only have they built a 3-story house with a pool, but it's a tiny little lot. Like, I love this house. I just want the bungalow as it is. I don't want more. We don't want more as a family. We don't have to make a lot of noise. I love my neighbors. Like, I'm a big neighborhood person and have done a lot for the road. And I really believe in, I don't even know how to say this, but I really believe that some things you can't, if I thought it would be helpful to move it back, and I wouldn't have. Helpful in what way? If I thought it would help the environment, I would do it. I don't think it will, because if you come to our house any day of the summer, I'll have you look at what goes on in the trees with all of the people who park on our road, who drive in our driveway because I don't have a gate, who pee in our bushes, who leave us toilet paper. Yeah, I know. I'm constantly picking up trash every morning with pleasure. Any of my neighbors will see me out there like cleaning the beach. I just want to keep it very simple, and I'm just fighting to just have a small piece of history stay in place. If I thought it would really make that much of a difference that we could actually do it and have it remain the same architectural house, which it wouldn't be, I would consider doing that. If this doesn't get passed, I'm happy to let the house sit there for another 50 years. It's been there since 1954.
I heard everything you said.
Yeah, I know.
Is there any technical requirement that she pull the house back?
No.
No, it's a recommendation, and actually Janice's report says the practicability of this recommendation should be discussed with the applicant.
That's all.
Yeah, and I think it's important to discuss. It's not a fight. I heard what you said, and I actually appreciate it. I was so upset with my neighbor who had rented from me for years and years and years, and the reason my husband and I bought both those properties is we have 2 boys, and my whole thinking was, when I kick it, one son gets one son gets, there's 2 little bungalows, and then we got too afraid. Prices became so crazy out here that we thought it was just too much for us to have 2 properties that could get swept away by a storm. 3 weeks later, Sandy happened, and we were the only, how many houses got hurt? We were like the only 5 houses that had 0 damage because we built this big dune, and, so, and we're raising it. It's on stilts, so the water goes through.
I disagree that vegetation should, I don't think it should be discounted, that significant vegetation on the street side, because if you look at the aerial, there's not as many vegetated parcels in the front side like this. And if the ocean does break through the not only steel bulkhead but the large dune that is there, then where's it going to go? It's going to go through the property and then potentially further erode the front of the house if it's just lawn or beach grass or something else. Where these are trees. These are dense pines with understory. It's like a thicket, essentially.
And the rabbits are there.
Yeah,
rabbits.
But when I say rabbits, I mean so many.
But the other thing I wanted to mention is in Marty Shea's response to the board, he mentions about the expansion of the deck. It should be noted that there's no expansion to the deck on the seaward side. It's merely on the landward side, and with the elevation of this house almost 6 and change feet in the air, it's kind of necessary to have for not only access, but also maneuverability around the elevated structure. So this, to me, this is a no-brainer, minimal situation for not only FEMA compliance, but also for the upgraded sanitary, proper drainage. You still have adequate parking here. And the accessibility to the dune. We've gotten permits from the town trustees and the DEC for a legitimate dune walkway to the ocean front, where there's not one now, which will further prevent erosion of that dune. I also just recently got a report from Marty Shea's office that they checked the dune. I guess they do that annually to make sure that sand replenishment is not necessary, and they're saying that the dune is in good shape. So, as far as that's concerned, the dune is what it's supposed to be.
So let me just understand. What you're really asking for is to just elevate the house. Not to
replace the
extend
deck.
it.
Replace all the stuff that needs to be replaced, the septic.
Decking around
the-
Yeah, no,
the-
no,
and
I
the
understand,
decking, yeah.
that's the,
Yeah.
but in terms of what you're doing for construction, it's just merely raising the house and it possibly extending the back deck.
And we're gonna restore the whole thing to the architect's actual plans.
Okay.
So it's exactly the house that it is, but it's not
And you're,
being,
and you're raising it to be FEMA compliant?
Yes.
Okay,
That's all.
okay.
How much more up, roughly?
It goes from 15 to.
It's 6.5 feet, I believe,
6.5 feet from the present
from
From
the
the
present.
present
bottom
first floor.
plate.
Yeah.
Right,
which is
okay.
below the
So
dune.
in order to raise the house, I believe you have to remove the deck. So the way that the code is written, it doesn't allow you to reconstruct the deck even if it's pre-existing non-conforming without coming to this board. So even if we weren't proposing 1 new square foot of decking, we would still have to come here just to replace that existing deck on the
How
seaward
much
side.
You don't need
additional
pyramid
decking are you
relief.
asking for? None.
I'm sorry. say
How much
it-
additional decking are you asking for?
Very little on
I
this.
think it's like 600 square feet, but a lot of that is stairways to not only
It's
access
to get up.
from the grade to the house, but also there's an existing roof deck, so it's another set of stairs on the side.
It's 3 sets of stairs
That
because
comes
we
up
can't
to the
get,
roof deck.
it's now a spiral staircase that I don't like going on because they're rusty and I'm getting up there.
Hardly.
No, I am.
Yeah, hardly. All right, you're talking to me.
Wrong argument.
Wrong argument.
And not even an argument, just, my mom can't get up there.
Any other comments from the board members?
No.
Other comments from the audience?
On the other side.
Okay. Have I sworn you in?
No, I will.
Okay.
The name is Daniel Green, B as in Bravo, R-E-E-N, as in Nancy. And my wife Sally and I are neighbors of,
Can I swear you in first?
Oh, I'm sorry,
Do you
yes.
swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Okay, thank you. Go ahead.
I'm here as a neighbor of Tom and Elizabeth. We've known them for 25 years. We've been living next to each other. And you see what's happened on Flying Point Road, if anybody's been down there. It's as popular as ever. All of the bungalows that were there when we moved there are all gone, except Elizabeth's. And I almost think she should be applauded for trying to restore something instead of tearing it down and putting up another box on the road. You know, so we're very supportive of our application. And, you know, we get moving, the trend is to move, but you're gonna move it a few feet, it's not gonna make a difference. We survived Sandy without a floodplain, believe it or not, because of that dune. We spent a lot of money rebuilding the dune, we just spent a lot of money rebuilding the beach, so we're very conscious about what's going on there, and we're supportive of her application. And we think it would be wonderful, but this will be the last and the only bungalow that's left in that entire neighborhood. And we think it'd be nice if she could keep it. Thank you.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you, Daniel. Did you want to come up? Yeah. Yeah, come on up.
He's the one who told me.
Okay,
Yes.
are you an attorney?
No. Do I look like one?
What do they look like?
They come in all shapes and sizes, so let me swear you in.
Yes.
Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do indeed.
Okay, please state your name and address.
Sure. It's Timothy Godbold, Godbold. Godbold, Godbold. And my address is 348 Millstone Brook Road in Southampton.
Okay.
Timothy? Hi, I am here in support of Elizabeth. I run a nonprofit out here called Hampton's 20th Century Modern. I'm not sure if any of you have heard of what we do, but we run yearly tours, book signings, lectures on preserving modernism in the Hamptons. And I started this in 2020. I've lived here since 2012. I've seen, even in the short time I've lived here, I've seen just, unfortunately, that the Hamptons turn into a suburb, and just ugly house after ugly house being overbuilt on lots out here. And I'm all about, I love a traditional classic house, but I also enjoy the modernist houses that we have out here by Norman Jaffe, Gwathmey. Elizabeth House is by an architect by the name of Peter Blake. I'm not sure if you're familiar with the Pinwheel House, which is in Southampton Village. That's actually was demolished. And this is one of the few remaining Peter Blake houses in the area. I have a picture of the house. Do you have a picture, Elizabeth? I mean, I can.
I just want to see it as it was.
It's quite amazing. I can pass this around if you want to see. It was actually built on telephone poles.
Which it still has the original.
Which it still has all of the telephone poles.
Original.
Yeah.
But it's now 10 feet below this ground because the dunes have been built up.
Yeah, it's a charming house. And it is, and so I met Elizabeth.
Nothing's changed.
Yeah, I met Elizabeth a couple of years ago. Elizabeth is parents own a house out here that's of a notable architect as well. And I approached Elizabeth on a social media site, not thinking I'd hear back from her saying, thanks, John, saying, you know, I run a nonprofit, you know, I'd love to speak to you. And I mean, within 2 minutes, I got a reply back from Elizabeth saying, listen, I'm here, I'm happy to help, whatever you need, I'm here to help your cause. And so we met. And lo and behold, you know, I'm sitting in a Peter Blake house that was thought to have been demolished. And I've said to Elizabeth from the get-go, I will help you whatever you need, architectural-wise or anything of our services to help this happen. And when we redesigned the house, and what we've done is bring back a lot of the original features, like the vertical or diagonal slats. Like, I really want to bring it back to what it was, because what I want to do, selfishly, as much as I want to help Elizabeth, I want to put it on a tour, right? I want people to come and see that these houses are worth preserving, and you know, to your point, you know, Elizabeth could have torn this house down, demolished the vegetation, and built another box. And you know, we're all about pollinator gardens and getting rid of the lawn and just bringing it right back.
So if I can just, you know, because we'd like to move on.
You want to go home.
But if I can just say that you were in support.
I am, very much.
I just wanted to just clarify that point.
Yeah, I mean, I just, you know, I also wanted to say hi and let you know what we're doing. But I mean, Elizabeth should be congratulated for what she's doing, and thank you.
Thank you very much. I do want to note that at our last meeting, we suggested upgrading the septic system, and you have put that into your plan.
Yes, 100%.
Yes, okay,
Yeah,
so
all of that's happening.
Yeah. All right, I get what you're saying. I think it's, you know, very admirable. You're really not expanding and building and doing anything else. You're just lifting the house, you know, fixing the back deck, and
Check if anyone's on Zoom.
yeah, and I mean, the thing is that if, you know, you don't go for lifting the house, you could just keep the house where it is, and it's like, you know, we wouldn't be forcing you to move it back. So on that basis, I do not have an issue with this application. And does anybody else from the board want to say anything?
No, I'm good. I'm good.
Check Zoom.
Pardon?
Did you check Zoom?
Is there anybody on Zoom who wishes to be heard?
Zoom. It's just me.
No.
Check Zoom.
Okay, so this is. Who's
It's
this?
mine.
John. Go ahead, John.
Okay, I move to close the hearing on this application, hold it open for written submissions to May 2nd with a written decision by May 15th.
Second.
Mr. Leonard?
Aye.
Mr. Mastonia?
Aye.
Ms. Kane?
Aye.
Mr. Redhand?
Aye.
Mr. McDonald?
Aye.
Ms. Burgess? Aye. Chair votes aye. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks to everybody.
I also flew in from Costa Rica to make this meeting today.
Where were you in Costa
No,
Rica?
I don't feel, I'm sorry. I am not feeling, you know.
Oh, nice.
That's very nice. I appreciate
Where in
that.
Costa Rica were you?
You know Santa Teresa.
No.
It's not quite a peninsula.
On the, I've been to Samara.
Oh, yeah.
Love it.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. Good
Thank
luck.
you so much for all your good work.
No, of course, I know.
Enjoy your
Okay,
home.
we are now up to the decision section of the meeting. So who goes first, and where are my decisions? Oh, shoot, I lost the decisions. Oh, here they are. Okay. Julie, you're first.
Yes. We have a decision in the matter of Ellis Beladoff and Ada Greenberg, Suffolk County Town Map 900-269-1-21. This application is for property located at Sun Valley Road, Hampton Bays. Applicants seek variances for a proposed detached garage on a non-conforming lot. After revising the application to increase the setback for the proposed garage, the board finds that the application passes the standards set forth in New York State Town Law and the Town Code. Therefore, the board grants relief from the following provisions of the Town Code for a detached garage on a non-conforming lot. 1, Town Code Section 330-6, General Regulations that references Town Code 330-11, Residence District, Tables of Dimensional Regulations for an accessory distance from front lot line setback of 35 feet, where 50 feet is required, and 2, Town Code 330-76D, Placement of Accessory Buildings, Structures, and Uses in all districts, in Town Code Section 330-83C, Yards, to allow the detached garage to be located within the required front yard for the principal building, and 3, Town Code Section 330-84D, Pyramid Law, for a sky plan encroachment to the west in the amount of 384 cubic feet, as shown on the hardscaping plan last dated March 18, 2025, and the floor plans and elevations last dated March 18, 2025. All prepared by Vladimir Constant, P.E. The grant of the foregoing relief is subject to such other conditions and permits as applicant has already acquired or may otherwise have to acquire for final approval of the subject premises.
Second.
Ms. Kane? Aye. Mr. Leonard?
Aye.
Mr. Mastonio?
Aye.
Mr. Revan?
Aye.
Mr. McDonald?
Aye.
Ms. Burgess?
Aye.
Chair votes aye. All right, you got the next one too.
Yep. Magotson Family Trust of 2020 Suffolk County Town Map 900-88-1-8.1. This application is for property located at 28 Hildreth Avenue, Bridgehampton. Applicant seeks variances for a proposed detached garage with pool house, pool, and spa on an L-shaped non-conforming lot burdened by 2 front yards. This board finds that the proposed detached garage with pool house at 29.9%, the size of the existing dwelling, is a customary accessory building as set forth in the Town Code, and finds that the application passes the standards set forth in New York State Town Law and the Town Code. Therefore, the board grants relief from the following provisions of the Town Code. 1, Town Code Section 330-6, General Regulations that references Section 330-11, Residence District's Table of Dimensional Regulations for an accessory distance from the front lot line from the south property line Hildreth Avenue of 26.3 feet for a proposed detached garage with pool house, and of 29.5 feet for a proposed pool with spa where 50 feet is required, and 2, Town Code Section 330-83C, Yards, and Town Code Section 330-76D, Placement of Accessory Buildings, Structures, and Uses in all districts, to allow the proposed garage with the pool and the proposed pool with spa to be located within the required front yard for the principal building, as shown on the survey prepared by Lester Holden, L.S. of Squires Holden, Weissenbacher, and Smith, revised November 18, 2024, and the floor plans and elevations prepared by Anthony Jude Vermandois, R.A., revised March 27, 2025. This decision is conditioned upon the following. 1, that there be no cooking or sleeping in the detached garage with pool house. 2, a code-compliant pool enclosure must be installed. And 3, that the vegetative screening existing on the premises, as shown on the survey, is maintained by the applicant and all successors in interest. This decision is also subject to such other conditions and permits as applicant has already acquired or may otherwise have to acquire for final approval of the subject premises, including the removal of the shed prior to the issuance of any certificates.
Second.
Ms. Kane?
Aye.
Mr. Leonard?
Aye.
Mr. Macedonia?
Aye.
Mr. Reddick?
Aye.
Mr. McDonald?
Aye.
Ms. Burgess?
Aye.
Chair votes aye.
Me, this is a decision for Jason Davin, Suffolk County Tax Map 900, 315-3-26. This application is for property located at 14 Vale Avenue, East Quogue. Applicant seeks a variance for proposed second-story addition to an existing detached garage located 6.6 feet from the property line on the flag lot. After removing the second-story window in order to achieve some privacy for the adjacent property owner, the board finds that this application passes the standards set forth in New York State town law and town code. Therefore, for the reasons set forth herein, this board grants relief from Town Code Section 330-84D, Pyramid Law, for a total sky plane encroachment to the south of 1,447 cubic feet, 1,272 cubic feet proposed, plus 175 cubic feet existing, for a proposed second-story addition to an existing detached garage on a non-conforming lot, as shown in the survey prepared by Paul Barilitsky, licensed land surveyor, dated November 7, 2023, and a floor plan and elevation prepared by Michael Marcina, registered architect, last revised March 26, 2025. Granted, the foregoing is subject to such other conditions and permits as applicant has already acquired or may otherwise have to acquire for final approval of subject premises, including there be no cooking or sleeping in the garage.
Second.
Mr. Macedonia?
Aye.
Mr. Leonard?
Aye.
Ms. Kane? Aye. Mr. Reddick?
Aye.
Mr. McDonald?
Aye.
Ms. Burgess?
Aye.
Chair votes aye.
Motion to close.
Is there,
Oh.
what? Is there a reason not to close? You want to keep us open? Okay.
No.
Okay.
Second.
All right.
I'm like, what are you doing?
Mr. Leonard?
Aye.
Ms. Kane? Aye. Mr. Macedonia? Aye. Mr. Reddick?
Aye.
Mr. McDonald? Ms.
Aye.
Burgess?
Aye.
Chair votes aye.